Let's go! We're in, gang! Sorry I was late. I didn't mean anything by it. Let me get rid of this. Happy birthday, America! How's everyone doing today? I've got a slightly see-through suit jacket on. That's okay. Just imagine it's red, white, and blue, which it still pretty much is. Let's go! Today on the show, we've got a lot going on. Today we're going to be going over everything in the Big Beautiful Bill. Everything in the Big Beautiful Bill. All the stuff in it. I've got another Google Doc, so it's just one of those days. It's one of those things. We got to get over it. We got to do it all. We have a ton of drama that's popped over the last week. Some stuff that happened the past couple of days. We got our Hassan Hate Hour scheduled for this session today, as usual. And we're going to just take a moment to appreciate our country here. The best country on earth, bar none. The biggest, the most beautiful, the most free, the most home of the brave country on earth that ever was and ever will be. The modern day Rome, the galactic empire of Earth, and all other solar systems. It's the biggest. We're killing it. We're doing so good. We're so back, America. So back. I wanted to start off. I saw when I was looking for this. Alright, I might have gotten a little excited there. Okay. I was looking for a national anthem to play during the stream today. And one of the things I had to look for and make sure wasn't happening was that there wasn't going to be a copyright strike on the video based on the Star Spangled Banner. So I ran this through a checker. It shouldn't get us copyright struck. But there's nothing quite as American as making sure the national anthem doesn't have a copyright on it. You know what I'm saying? There's just something so beautifully American about that. And and we found it, gang. We found it. All right. So what I wanted to do really quick at the beginning of this as like a little thank you to America. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff to watch today. Some of it I pre-watched a little bit. All right. So I noticed when I found this that let me turn some background music on for you guys. Here we go. Okay, so I noticed that the comments of this video were some of the most patriotic comments I've ever seen, ever. All right, so I'm just going to go through some of them. A year ago, forever grateful to have come to this country. Hell yeah, big likes. I'm still crying whenever I hear this. Without America, I probably wouldn't be alive. So grateful, immigrant from Korea. Huge. Proud to be an American. God bless the America, US, 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 US. Let's get that up to 100 likes, gang. Every politician in Washington should watch this to remind them of what they represent. God bless the USA. Well, I'm glad this one was the last one I wanted to read because... Actually, no, there's a couple more. As an immigrant, I thank the Lord every morning for everything and for bringing me to still the best country in the world. And thank you to all for defending and protecting my children. Very sorry for the fallen ones and wounded in more ways than one. God bless America. Love to the United States from Sweden. As an immigrant, I'm deeply grateful to be now a citizen of the best country on earth. This anthem gets me choked up by tears every time. When I was reading these earlier, I was just jamming out. I was making fun of some Russian coworkers and playing the Russian national anthem. But then I was like, nah, I gotta get some freedom injected back into my veins. I pulled this up and I was listening to it and I saw these comments and I was like, wow, I really think it would be appropriate today on America's birthday to just take a moment and really appreciate how much love there is for this country out there. Let's read this long one. And then we'll move on, okay? We've got a lot of stuff to go over. I don't want to be too much of a Debbie Downer, but I like these. I think they're very sweet. I am very thankful to the American people and its brave soldiers who kept us free from communism and tyranny during post-war times after World War II. As a former German soldier, I shall always have a deep and warm feeling of friendship to this wonderful nation. May the Lord bless you all. Many greetings from a German friend. Well, God bless you too, my friend. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of you in the comments on this video here. And you should come watch my stuff if you see this. We probably won't, but you should. It's a little sneak peek into what some of the stuff we're going to be going over today, as you can see. But, you know, we've got the big, beautiful bill. We have a lot of things to cover here. I'm going to try to make it as quick as I can. And do like kind of a Spark Notes version. But there's a lot. It is a big, beautiful bill for a reason. It's not a small, beautiful bill. It's not a small, ugly bill. It's a very big bill. So there's a lot to go over. I broke it. Excuse me. I broke it up into sections. We've got notable mentions, we've got tax code changes, domestic policy and spending, foreign policy and spending, healthcare changes, some notable mentions, and then I have some extra stuff added in here to go over, you know, like spending over time. And so, yeah, I put a lot of work into this, again, with the help of ChatGPT, but this time I double-checked everything because last time it was a bit of a mess. All right. We've got a friend we're chatting with about possibly making some new art for the channel, so that's exciting. And let's go over, I wanted to look at these bookmarks here. Okay, yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about. I think we should maybe start, oh, we can get rid of this. We should maybe start with some of the drama. Okay, so we're gonna watch this whole video later, so we'll skip this for now. Hassan Piker, Hamas Diddy Osama Piker went ahead and, while doing his normal I Love Terror shtick, was called out for treason by a viewer, and then attempted to dox the viewer live on stream, dox the wrong person, and then threatened them with his firearm, again live, all on Twitch. So we're going to watch some stuff related to that. We're going to watch the whole clip. This is just a little sneak preview. So, you know, if you want to be involved, if you want to be in the comments section, getting involved in all this stuff, you better subscribe, right? Meow. You better. Also, I made an appearance on Tales from the Inverted World. I don't know if you've heard of this show, but I made an appearance on there the other day, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Let me log out of... Hold on one second. I need to log out totally of Steam because we're not doing any of that today. We're gonna sign out. Yeah, there we go. We'll sign out. Just shut it down. All right, so I don't want anything to pop up while I'm talking. All right, so this guy said he read the Big Beautiful Bill, and we're going to compare his notes with ours. We're going to see how much of the Big Beautiful Bill he really read. I doubt that's true. We have some public statements for 4th of July and just some patriotic stuff. So, you know, if you're here and you're watching, you can tell me what you want to look at first, since we have such small viewership. Do you want to get into drama with Hassan? Do you want to do the bill first and then move into the drama? You tell me. If you're watching, just go ahead and text it into the chat-asaurus, and let me know what you want to do, gang. Just let me know. I'm ready to go. Either way. All right. Okay. My viewer is not saying anything. My one viewer. That's okay. We'll just move on. We'll go right into the Big Beautiful Bill. I got it pulled up. We got a lot to go over. This is the most important thing. It's center stage, really. So I won't delay it at all. I was already late enough today. So I have this sourced up so that you can go and open up the bill, the big beautiful bill, and follow along and see the stuff that we did. I'm already like, wait a second, did we mess up? Is this actually in the bill? Hold on 1 second. I gotta go get the full bill pulled up here. Big beautiful bill full. Let's find it and let's go ahead. Congress. And this is it. So let's go ahead and download the PDF. Boom. And here it is. We're going to open it here. Boom. So page 14. Okay. The secretary shall make household adjustments using the following ratios of household size as a percentage. For one person, 30%. For an 8-person household, 180%. For a person of 9 more than 22% allowable cost adjustments. Thrifty in the thrifty food plan, parts of Alaska. Cost adjustment October. Each one thereafter. This doesn't say anything about a flat tax. I was gonna say there's no way that that's what happened. Hang on, let me do something really quick. I can't believe we got line 1 and it's like, oh, this is not right. That can't be true, can it? Big, beautiful bill. It's still a graduated system, so this is just wrong. I don't know why it's in here. Great, we're gonna have to check everything. This isn't on page 14. Capital gains tax isn't on page 14. What bill did this read? What the fuck? Ugh, this is so annoying. Of course. Here's some stuff we do know about. We do know about no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. So let's go to page 13. Let's see if it's actually correct. 13 is the Food Nutrition Act. Yeah, it's not in the right. None of this is in the right section. So that's fantastic. Don't you love that, guys? I keep getting embarrassed by ChatGPT because I'm trying to do like a reaction and double checking of everything live, and it just keeps messing everything up just straight away. So let's go through what we can here. So disappointing. Here we go. Fiscal year payment multiply. Man, I don't even know what to do. This is basically ruined my entire show prep for today because all this shit is totally wrong. There's only a few things that are accurate in it. God, I'm gonna fucking delete ChatGPT for this. Ruin my shows one too many times. Alright, so this one is a good one. This is accurate. I double checked the spending in here versus the savings in the one big beautiful bill. So you're spending about 10 or 100, 200 billion, right? But you're saving 520 billion, 30 billion, and then 200 billion. This is over a period of time. Okay, so, spending is trillion because it's in B and it's, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so technically it's a net savings of 1.5 trillion over 10 years. Now, I'm being told that this repeals the Affordable Care Act. But now I need to check and make sure that if that's true. I'm going to yell at ChatGPT later. Let's see. Well, we can just go through whatever we need to. Alien SNAP eligibility. No individual who is a member of a household otherwise eligible to participate in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program under this section shall be eligible to participate in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program as a member of that or any other household unless they're a resident, citizen, alien lawfully admitted. Okay, so some benefits are being taken away from illegal aliens, and we've been told over and over again that this is not true, that they took this out of the bill. Well, clearly they didn't. Okay, I believe this has to do with taking some of the... No, this is just for commodities. Okay, let's skip forward, or just better yet, we'll go back up to the table of contents at the top. Okay, thrifty food, modification, availability of standard utility allowances, restriction on internet expenses, matching funds requirements, administrative cost sharing, price, base acres, producer election. Let's zoom in a little bit. Price loss coverage, equitable treatment of certain entities, payment limitations, adjusted gross income limitations, section 10308, marketing loans, repayment of marketing loans, economic dairy, sugar, implementation, crop insurance, additional investment, rural America, okay, DoD resources, for quality of life, shipbuilding, integrated air missile defense, munitions, low-cost weapons. I gotta tell you, this my cheat sheet here being all messed up, it really took the wind out of my sails. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so mad, dude. It did it to me again. You try to come prepared so that you can actually go over this stuff line by line in a real way, but then this happens, so that's alright. We're just gonna go over this stuff as best as we can. We need to find... Let's do our Control F deal, and we're gonna go tax on tips. No tax on tips. Let's go. Here we go. Delivering on presidential priorities to provide middle-class tax relief. No tax on tips. Deduction allowed. Part 7, Subchapter B, Chapter 1 is amended by redesignating Section 224 and Section 225 by inserting after Section 220 the following new section. There shall be allowed as a deduction an amount equal to the qualified tips received during a taxable year that are included on statements furnished to the individual pursuant to Section blah blah blah, or reported by Taxpayer Form 4137, the successor limitation. The amount allowed as a deduction under this for any taxable year shall not exceed $25,000. So this is something AOC talked about, and apparently she wasn't lying. So that's good to know. AOC didn't lie. Although she thinks that this is a slam dunk for like, ah ha ha, we got you. But in reality, it's not a slam dunk, ah ha ha ha, we got you. Average yearly salary of tips employees. Okay. Here we go. Through employment, mean hourly wage is 17. Mean annual wage is 36,000. Okay. Now of that, what percentage of that is tips? So if you subtract the hourly wage by the annual, so we can do that. Let's go calculator. So we have a mean annual wage of $36,530. So let's do 17.56, which is a lot if you're working as a waiter or waitress. Not plus. Start over. 17.56 times 40 is 1,000 times 4. That what? That can't be right. 17.56 times 40. Yeah, that's what I thought. I must have hit something without noticing it. Times 4 times 12. So yeah, you're making 33,000 off of your salary. Okay? So tips wise, I happen to know that you make an average of like 50 to 75, maybe $100 a day in tips at you work. That's 5 days a week. So let's just call that, let's go low, right? Or high, because we want to give the benefit of the doubt. 75 times 5 times 4 is 1,500 times 12. So for the average person, 25,000 is 7,000 higher than what they would actually even get in tips. So they'll be able to get no taxes on their tips pretty much all the way through. So, fun fact, this is not some kind of a gotcha. This is still good. Okay, believe it or not. Okay, so let's go overtime. It's probably in the same section. Yep, here it is. So we'll go no tax on overtime. All right, part 7 of subchapter B, chapter 1, as amended by the preceding visions. Act as an amendment. There shall be allowed as a deduction an amount equal to the qualified overtime compensation received during the taxable year and included on statements furnished to the individual pursuant to section blah, 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 with the limitation that the amount allowed as a deduction under this section for any taxable year shall not exceed $12,500 or $25,000 in the case for a joint return. Okay, so that's a little less. And that's actually not as good, right? So the no tax on tips is a little bit stronger than the no tax on overtime. I guess they probably are thinking that, I mean, you do get paid a lot in overtime though. So I don't know. That's just another... If you work overtime like a lot of people do, that is like an entire $12,500 going back into your pocket for the year, right? So that's a big return. Limitation based on adjusted gross income. Amount allowable after application paragraph 1 shall be reduced, but not below 0 by 100 for each thousand which the taxpayer has modified adjusted gross income. So, which exceeds 150. Okay, so as long as you're making around 150, or just under, you're gonna get all 12,500 of your taxed overtime back. And time and a half is kind of a big deal, right? So, that's pretty high for most people, and this is pretty good for a lot of people. It's still good. It could be better. I'd like to see this closer to this number for individuals. But you know, it could be worse. It could be worse. All right, so let's take a look. No tax on car loan interest. This is a big one. So let's go to this one and we'll copy it. And we'll just take a look and see exactly what's going on here. Special rules for taxable years 2025 through 2028 relating to qualified passenger vehicle loan insurance. In the case of taxable years beginning after 2024 and before 2029, okay, so this doesn't count for like minivans or buses and stuff like that. All right, so here it's defining it actually. So let's just go through that. For the purposes, qualified passenger vehicle means any interest which is paid or accrued during the taxable year incurred by the taxpayer for purchase of, and that is secured by first lien of a passenger. Okay, yeah, it doesn't just say what a passenger vehicle is. Okay, finance, fleet sales, commercial vehicle not used for personal purpose. So this is only for personal vehicles. Interest shall not be treated as qualified passenger vehicle. Okay, we understand. The amount of interest taken into account by a taxpayer under subparagraph B for any taxable year shall not exceed $10,000. Okay, so the average car loan is like $30,000. Okay, So let's say you have an average car loan of 30,000. I know this is like kind of boring for a lot of people, but we got to get through. It's important information. We got to get through this stuff. Let's say you've got a really high rate, or you know, if you're like a 650 with average credit, this is pretty normal rate right now. This is why the Federal Reserves need to be destroyed. But if you have like an average rate of like 0.9%, you're looking at what? That can't be right. 0.9% divided by 60. That's $450 a month on top of the rest of your loan. So 450 and then 30 divided by 60 is 500 plus 450. So that doesn't seem right. That's a pretty high rate, but I guess it's possible. So for a $30,000 loan, if you have a 0.9% rate, you're looking at about half of your payment being reduced by this, if my math is even somewhat right. I did 90%, not 9%. That's the issue. Okay. Sorry, I'm bad at math. I'm figuring it out as I go. There you go, 2,700. So that is pretty good. And it is simple interest, so it's every month, right? So it's actually by payment. So if we go 30,000, 60 month is the average term length divided by 60. That's a 500 a month term at 0%. So now we multiply it by 9%. That's another $45. So that's $45 over the course of the year times 12. Another 5. So yeah, I mean, there's no way you're going to go over this unless you've got a really expensive vehicle or a really high rate. Like, what would your rate have to be to exceed 10,000? It would have to be like 20% almost. Should we do the math? What would it have to be? I mean, let's say you have like a $35,000 car loan. Okay, at a 5-year term is 583.3, but we'll just go 583 for simple math. And then 583 times, let's say it's a 20% rate. It's another $116 plus 583. So we're looking at $700 at a 20% rate for a $35,000 loan. Okay, so that's significantly more. Let's go 116 times 12. Yeah, you're still not even close. So, like, yeah, I mean, in a year, there's no way you're going to exceed that. You have to be on a really expensive vehicle because this is just your rate, right? So basically, as long as you're getting a personal vehicle. Oh, and here's the other thing. It has to be made in the United States, okay? Let's see if there's anything. Qualified passenger vehicle loan determined by the cost shall be reduced, not below 0. Okay, we exceeds. Okay, we don't care about this. We're just not. That's not the same. Modified adjuster. Here's applicable. Where does this come in? Which manufacturer? Public streets, roads and highways, not including vehicle operated exclusively on rails, two wheels, car, minivan, van, sport utility vehicle, pickup truck, motorcycle. Oh, you can do this on motorcycles? That's pretty cool. Treated as a motor vehicle for purpose of Title II in the Clean Air Act with a gross vehicle weight of less than 14,000 pounds. Okay, so nothing huge. Because 14,000 pounds is a nice size vehicle, too. I mean, here we go. Such terms shall not include any vehicle, the final assembly of which did not occur within the United States. So, if you were thinking about getting a car, and you want to get one made in the U.S., or you should, because your taxes are basically free. So here's a fun fact for you. All Camrys are made in the United States. They don't make them in Japan anymore. They're all made in Kentucky. So if you were thinking about getting like a Japanese reliable car and you don't want to deal with the fact that, you know, Chevys kind of suck and, you know, all that other stuff, you could get yourself like a Toyota. I don't know about Honda. I think that they're moving factories over here. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. We like that. Let's hop back up to the top here. Oh, let me get rid of that. Oh. Okay, Trump accounts and contribution pilot program. Oh, this is cool. This is for kids. So I remember hearing about this one. Let's pop over here. All right. This stuff is really hard to read intentionally, so I'm doing my best for you guys to try to put it into plain English. Okay. Trump account should be treated for purposes of... Okay. Individual retirement account, which is not designated as a Roth IRA, which meets the following requirements: created or organized by the Secretary for the exclusive benefit of an eligible individual or such eligible individual beneficiaries, or is created or organized in the United States for the exclusive benefit of an individual who has not attained the age of 18 before the end of the calendar year, or such individuals, beneficiaries, and funded by a qualified rollover contribution. The account is designated at the time of establishment of the account as a Trump account. The written government instrument creating the account meets the following requirements. No contribution will be accepted before the date that is 12 months after the date of enactment of this section. In the case of a contribution made in any calendar year before the calendar year which a beneficiary attains the age of 18 would result in aggregate contributions. Such calendar year excess come to limits found in subsection. Except as provided in subsection D, no distribution will be allowed before the first day of the calendar year in which the account beneficiary... Okay. So they can't get any money out of it until they're 18. That's what this said. It said all of that just to say that. This is why they should change the way bills work. It shouldn't be that complicated. Okay. No part of the account funds will be invested in any asset other than eligible investment during any period before the first day of the calendar year when they're 18. Okay. Eligible means who under 18 has a social security number and no prior election. I don't know what that means. An election is made under the sub... I don't know what election has to do with any of this. Basically, you get a Trump account, all right? And they're going to take and invest stuff in the market, which is actually a pretty good idea. And they're designating specific stocks to put it into. It's a good idea. It'll be good for the economy. Because it'll be sending money directly into actual businesses and stuff, and it'll be increasing in value for the people who are like actually attached to it. Let's see, which could be good. I mean, at a certain point in time in this country, we had a lot of different ways that you could use the government to benefit from this stuff. All right, so here's the big thing why people wanted this bill to pass. So we're going to go up to, see if that's in here anyway. No, not like that. Not like that, baby. Immigration and law enforcement matters. Let's see. Laws, asylum fee, employment authorization, parole fee, temporary protected status. Okay, relating renewal, extension, authorization. Let's see. Funding, here we go. Appropriation for the DHS, U.S. Immigration Custom Enforcement. This is what we want. Let's take a look. This is why nobody reads these bills, by the way. Just so you know, it's intentionally difficult to read. Intentionally. Okay. In addition to amounts otherwise available, there is appropriated to the Secretary of Homeland Security for U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement for fiscal year 2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated. $29,850 billion to remain available through September 2029. This is for everything, okay? So this is a big deal. Let's take a look. Let's dive into that a little bit. So total funding of U.S. Marine Corps. Okay, 57.2 billion is how much we spend on the Marine Corps. That is more than 57 billion. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. This is half. Okay. So yeah, it's not even close to half of 57 billion. So people are trying to say that we're going to be funding ICE more than look at that. Let's take a look. Snopes. How much ICE budget will increase under the mega bill? The 25 big increases immigration from 3.5 to 48.5. No, it increases. Add 30 billion to the budget, with another 45 billion for detention centers, which is a total of 75 billion on top of whatever. Oh shit! What? We only found this one. We didn't find the rest of them. That's crazy. Okay, so that's not including detention. Detention gets another 15 billion. That means that, okay, that means that it's true. It's true. We are going to be spending more on immigration enforcement than we will be on the Marine Corps. Well, to be fair, you don't need $57 billion in crayons. You know what I mean? Like, they can take a break from the crayons for a little while. That's so crazy. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of money. I was going to say we should look up their current budget. Current ICE budget. 8 billion. Wow, that's a huge... Wow, that's a huge increase. Those are big, beautiful numbers right there. Now, if you wanted to get rid of... Okay, hold on. Let's look up something else. How much does it cost to deport one illegal immigrant? Alright, I don't have a clear answer for me on this one. Currently, the average cost to arrest, detain, and remove an illegal alien is $17,000. Okay, so let's take a look. Alright. So let's assume high, right? Let's assume it's 20 million. And then times 17,121. Wow, that's a big number, guys. Okay, so what if we take and divide that by... What was it? 72? It's like 70 something. They had 8. They're getting 38 plus 45 for detention. So, okay, that's so much. All right, so we're at 342 billion per illegal immigrant, or for all of the illegal immigrants, and we have not quite exceeded that. So, but let's divide that. 2029 is 4 years away by 4. Bro, I see the vision. I see the vision. We are very, very close to this number here. This is per year. If you wanted to deport every illegal immigrant in the United States, it would cost you this much per year for 4 years. Wow. Wow. And we're almost there. We're at like 74 or something. I see the vision, guys. I really do. Look, you know, you've probably heard me talk about this before. I am very anti-spending right now. We've got a spending problem. But if you're going to spend on something, this is the thing you really have to spend for. This is a full-blown crisis. You know, I've done the math in the past for you guys, and I'm admittedly not very good at math, but we do know that, you know, we have an issue here when it comes to this illegal immigration. This is a full-blown crisis, and we really, 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 really need to get this all taken care of. All right, let's see if there's anything else of note in here. and we may be moving on because I'm not nearly as prepared to get into this as I wanted to be. My freaking whole doc is all messed up. Like, if my first two things on this doc are wrong, how can I rely on anything else to be accurate? Right? So I've got information on the healthcare changes, but it says it repeals the ACA. Does it actually do that? Let's see if we can figure it out. Oops. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, let's go affordable care. Okay, verification of information. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is amended by striking internal revenue and paragraph, by striking and at the end, by adding an and at the end, and by adding at the end of the following new subparagraph. In the case such individual is an alien lawfully present in the United States, whether such an individual is an eligible alien, by adding that. In the case the individual's eligibility is based on the attestation of the enrollee's immigration status and attestation that such individual is an eligible alien within this definition. Okay, so they took it. If you're an illegal alien, you can't get any health care from the Affordable Care Act. Sorry, kid. I mean, that's totally reasonable. I don't see what the problem is with that. Yeah, Gibble alien. We know those. Let's see. Is amended by inserting before the period ending aliens who are not eligible aliens. Effective date January. Okay, so nothing's happening with this bill with ACA until 2027. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can't just say that they're repealing the Affordable Care Act. That's just not true. What the hell? That's crazy. Why would you say that? This is all... I can't trust anything in here. It's all wrong, and it's got the wrong pages listed. This is my fault. I should have double-checked it, but I was in a hurry when I put it together because I was trying to get here to do the show, ironically, so... Alright. The spending is accurate, though. I did double-check this, so... We have a domestic spending of 1.6, domestic savings of 500 billion, foreign policy reallocation, which is 100 billion but not new, foreign aid and international org savings of 30 billion, healthcare savings of 2 trillion. Okay. So, I wonder what else we can find about healthcare. Let's go here. Healthcare. Medicaid, maybe? Okay, reducing fraud and improving the enrollment processes. Okay, this is the big whodunit. This is the thing that the Democrats are like, yeah, he's taken all these people. There's going to be millions who die because they're not eligible for health care anymore. So let's just take a look and see if there's any validity to that claim, right? Let's see. Moratorium on implementation of rule relating to eligibility and enrollment. Moratorium on implementation of rule relating to eligibility and enrollment. Reducing duplicate enrollment. Ensuring deceased individuals do not remain. Providers do not remain. Payment reduction related to certain erroneous excess payments. Okay. Let's take a look on these, because this is where the savings are going to come in. Whew, this is going to be a lot, guys. We're almost done. After we get through this, we're going to switch to the fun stuff, okay? So just bear with me for another minute here. In general, the Secretary of Health and Human Services shall not, during the period beginning on the date of enactment of this section, 2034, that's a long time from now, implement, administer, or enforce the amendments made by the provisions of the final rule published by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services on 2023, titled Streamlining Medicare. Medicare Savings Program eligibility determination and enrollment. The following sections. Okay. Implementation funding. For the purpose of carrying out the provision in this section 7.1.102, there are appropriated out of any monies in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated to the administrator of the CARES $1 million for fiscal year 26 to remain available until expanded. Eligibility and enrollment for Medicare CHIP and health basic health program shall not, during the period beginning of the date of enactment of this section and ending in 2034, implement, administer, oh sorry, that's when it ends, not when it begins. Implement, administer, and enforce the amendments made by the provisions of the final rule published by the Centers for Medicare entitled Medicaid Programs, Streamlining Medicaid Children's Health Insurance Program and Basic Health Program Application, Eligibility, Determination, Enrollment, and Renewal Process. Following sections. Oh wow, it's not telling us dick. Okay, we actually have to look into all of these if we want to know what's going on. Dang, that's crazy. They really want to make me work. This is the problem. I've looked into these bills before. You have to look, you know, once we get into this, it's going to be tagging into 7 other things too. So let's just take a look here. All right, I want to see just something a little bit clearer. Beginning not later than 2027 in the case of one of the 50 states and the District of Columbia for a process to regularly obtain address information. Okay, you have to regularly update your address in accordance with subsection VV and beginning not later than October 1st. A system established by the Secretary under this, with respect to an individual enrolled seeking to enroll under such not less frequently than once each month, and during each determination or redetermination of the eligibility in such an individual medical assistance under such a plan. Okay, so they have to have a social security number. Or something that the Secretary likes for the state plan. Indicates the individual enrolled or seeking to enroll under such a plan is enrolled under the state plan. If another state plan for taking the appropriate action to identify whether such individual resides in the state. Disenroll. Okay, so they're making them confirm whether they're in the state in order to get the state version of the CARE Act. Prevention of enrollment under multiple states. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't do it under multiple states. You have to have proof that you're living in the state. Not less than once a month, but can be more. It's up to the Secretary how they want to do that, what standards they'll accept. For fiscal year, it's $10 billion for purposes of establishing the system and standards required under the subsection. And then 2029, $20 billion for purposes of maintaining such systems. Process to enroll address. Okay, so I don't see what the big deal is. It sounds like they just need to stay. I mean, they're getting a huge reduction in funding. That's the biggest thing going on here from what I can tell. I'm not seeing anything else. It's just like verify your information. Manage care. Ensuring deceased individual. Yeah, I mean, this is not like a smoking gun. This isn't. Look, we just read through like 5 pages of Medicare shit, and it doesn't say anything about removing people who are not eligible. Quarterly screening to verify enrollee status. Not less frequently than quarterly. Review death master file. Yeah, I mean, none of this is unreasonable. This is, let's see, disenrollment under state plan if the state determines based on information obtained by the death. Okay, this is still pertaining to death. Rule of construction. Nothing under the subject of construction of the ability of the state to use electronic data sources to identify potentially deceased beneficiaries. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't see what the fucking problem is. Why is everybody freaking out about all of it? It's like they're reducing the funding into Medicare. That's it. That's all it's doing. It's not removing people from it. It's not saying you can't have it. It's saying you can have it. You can't be lying about how you're getting it, and you have to be in one state and prove that you're in that state and have a social security number. You can't be enrolled in 2 states. Like, I really don't understand what the big deal is here. But maybe this is it here. Frequency of eligibility redeterminations. Scheduled on or after the first day of the first quarter. The state shall make such a discernment once every 6 months. Enrolled under this act. Individuals described in such subsection who are otherwise enrolled under a waiver such as a plan. Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't see what the issue is. I really don't. It doesn't even seem like there's anything going on. And you know what? Honestly, we're done with this bill now. I can't keep reading this damn thing. I'm going to have to do some more research and we'll get into it a little deeper later. You know, one of the things that actually got me into politics was the Affordable Care Act when Obama passed it. I was just a normal guy living my life, doing my thing, and barely making it by, 22 a year at best. I would get my tax return at the end of the year for like $600, $700, and that was the most money I would have seen at one time for most of the year because I worked off of tips. I would make like $300 a check. I might be able to save $400 or $500 up. You know, I had to save tips and stuff like that to be able to get anything done. And then my tax return at the end of the year was like the thing I was able to use to do things in my life, right? To be able to switch insurance providers or to fix something on my car or have some money to move into a new rental property, right? That kind of stuff. Otherwise, I really didn't stand a chance because I just made such a little amount of money. When the Affordable Care Act dropped, I had to do the math and figure out, well, how much is this going to cost me every month? Because I'm a healthy young man. So I had to pay more than the average person, even though I only made 22 a year. And I did the math and it's like, okay, for the first 3 years, so the way it worked was every year you didn't have the Affordable Care Act, you took a penalty on your tax return at the end of that year. And the penalty was $300 at first, and then it turned into $600 and then $900. Okay. So I had to do the math and say, okay, well, so for the first year, I would be paying more if I had paid for the Affordable Care Act throughout the year than $300. So it's worth it to take the penalty at the end of the year and just have a reduction in my tax return by $300. But by the third year, it would actually cost me more money to take the hit on the tax return at the end of the year. So that's the kind of calculus that I was forced to do with my life because of the Obamacare, which is not the kind of thing you should ever be putting somebody through when they make $20,000 a year. They shouldn't have to pay taxes at all if they make $20,000 a year. Do you have any idea how poor $20,000 a year is? Like, if you're watching this right now, you probably make at least 30. $20,000 a year is nothing. Nothing. It is impossible to make it on $20,000 a year. Impossible. Everything is way too expensive. I mean, what, hold on, what is my rent? Okay, my rent right now is $850. That is 50%. 50%. All right? That's crazy. That's crazy. And then you're going to say, actually, we're going to add another surcharge of $300. Like, when you're making $20,000 a year, $300 is a lot of money. $600 is a lot of money. You know, $20,000 a year is $1,600 a month, dude. Jesus. That's $400 a week. Man, just think about that. That's tough. That's tough. And then you've got the government out of nowhere costing you $300, $600, then $900 a year out of nowhere. That's an entire month of pay almost. That's like almost 12% or 10% of your pay for the year. That's so much money when you're making $20,000 a year. So at that point, I was like, I don't know much about politics, but this Affordable Care Act thing can get fucking bent. And then one of the first things Trump did when he took office was he got rid of that penalty. And that's when I was like, hey, maybe there's something to this guy. And that's when I started paying attention to politics seriously. You know, before that, I was just like a conspiracy theorist, and that was my that was my like political stance. So we went over some of this stuff in this bill. We did in very big detail, but I wish it was, you know, a little bit more clear. So we're just gonna pop into this and see what we got going on here. Okay, so let's pause the music. Get into some videos. We've seen this guy before. It's not a vape. It's an anxiety pen. We all know him. We love him.
The worst bills in American history. You should watch this video because it'll impact the rest of your life.
Oh boy, you've all seen Dean's video on the Big Beautiful Bill. And notice how he didn't provide a single source or cite the bill even once. I'm now going to systematically eviscerate everything he said.
Okay.
To a low information liberal friend who believed it.
I'm excited.
This bill intends to revoke the Pell Grant for around 2/3 of recipients.
No, the bill does not revoke the Pell Grant for 2/3 of recipients.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
What it does is cut waste and tighten guidelines. First of all, this bill takes the Pell Grant away from students who have enough outside non-federal grants or scholarships to cover the full cost of their attendance.
Oh, but I thought Trump was all about helping the rich get richer. It certainly looks to me like he's making the rich pay more money for school if they can afford it. Crazy.
If their college is already fully paid for, why would you give them the Pell Grant? That's just free money for no real reason. It disqualifies people who are less than half-time students, which would mean that you're taking less than 6 credits per semester. And finally, it removes students whose student aid index is more than double the maximum Pell Award. The House version also included a measure to increase the full-time student requirement from 24 credits per year to 30 credits per year, but it was removed in the Senate bill. The House bill ultimately expected to disqualify only 10% of Pell recipients, according to the Congressional Budget Office. A little over half were expected to see reductions in the size of their awards based on the level of aid that they were otherwise receiving. The Senate bill is much more mild and expected to see an even smaller impact. Now, Dean's talking point comes from an American Progress article.
Okay, so that makes sense. They're just the media is truly the enemy of the people. They lie about damn near everything. Damn near. And nobody should trust anyone named Mishka as a rule.
Which, unfortunately, he didn't read past the headline. He evidently also didn't read the bill that he made this video about.
It also plans to completely eliminate student aid for graduate students.
So this is just a complete lie. What this bill actually does is cap borrowing for graduates.
All right. A graduate student who is not a professional student may borrow in any academic year or its equivalent shall be $20,000, and a professional student may borrow in any academic years. Okay, so that makes sense.
$20,500 per year and $100,000 per lifetime. For professional programs like law and medicine, it caps the borrowing at $50,000 annually and $200,000 for life. Graduate students are also still fully eligible for grants from the federal government as well as grants from federal agencies like the NIH.
See, I'm glad we're watching this because this is going over a bunch of stuff that we actually did not go over in our coverage of the bill. So this is nice. This is a nice little all-around thingy.
Defunding hospitals in rural areas in this country because of...
I thought that the bill said things about funding more stuff in rural areas, so I'm very interested to see what they're talking about here.
This 340 hospitals in these rural areas are expected to be at a risk of closure.
Another blatant lie. There is no provision in this bill that defunds rural hospitals. Some are concerned that tightening Medicaid will result in reduced revenue for rural hospitals, but this bill focuses specifically on things like ensuring that deceased people are scrubbed from Medicaid.
We read that.
Reevaluating recipients' eligibility yearly. Why
We
weren't we
read
always
that.
doing that?
Yeah.
Preventing Medicaid from being used to pay for child transition surgery. It prevents
I didn't
federal
see that,
dollars
but
from
that's
being spent
a
on
huge
abortion
W.
and gives the states more control over how Medicaid is run in their states.
Oh my God, that's so big. That's so huge, actually. So a big part of the reason why this trans sickness has been infesting our culture is because of the almighty dollar, right? This is all because of the medical industry. They're the greatest evil, the pharmaceutical companies on this planet. And the leftists and liberals can see it so clearly with everything but this trans stuff. It's like this weird gap in their sight on how terrible the pharmaceutical companies are. It's this and COVID. And for some reason, all of a sudden, with those two things, the pharmaceutical companies could do no wrong at all whatsoever. But in reality, the only reason why we're mutilating children and adults is because there's money to be made doing it. And so if you can't do it on Medicare anymore, a lot of the financial incentive for these companies and corporations and pharmaceutical companies to be pushing this awful, like genocidal, Auschwitz level, surgical destruction of people and mutilation of individuals that I guarantee you one day we're going to look at as if it was a Holocaust. Like, this is going to be a human rights violation that's going to be written about for hundreds of years once we're past this phase of existence, if we make it. Like, this stuff is not going to continue to happen, at least at the rate that it's happening. It's really going to squeeze down because these people aren't going to be able to make the money that they could before, because most people actually can't afford these surgeries. If they can't use Medicare to get them, that's going to also save us a lot of money on the taxpayer basis. It's just that's all good news. That's all good news. That is so great. I didn't even notice that because we weren't really looking for it. We weren't looking for the sensational stuff. We were just trying to be factual. But wow. Oh my gosh. I genuinely, like, a lot of stress and tension in my neck and the back of my head just kind of like got dislodged from hearing that. That is such a big deal. Without that financial incentive in place, these people are no longer going to be mutilated and killing themselves. Okay? This is a big deal.
That power from the federal government. I'll do a whole video on how this bill relates to healthcare because it's very nitty-gritty, but this was an outright lie.
Yeah, it sure
Also
is.
expected to cut food benefits by 30%.
No, the bill does not cut food benefits by 30%.
It cuts
He's just
food
talking
benefits
about
for
SNAP.
illegal immigrants.
Actually, I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
We saw that.
But anyway, the current requirement for SNAP is that people aged 16 to 56 work 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month to receive benefits. This was just expanded to people aged 64. It also requires that states share in the cost of SNAP benefits with the federal government.
Okay.
So there you have it. And all of Dean's primary...
I mean, a lot of states take in state taxes every year, and that should be going to something that actually makes a difference in people's lives. I'm all for that.
Concerns with the big beautiful bill in the video that he purportedly put loads of time and effort into, which is shocking considering he failed to provide a single source or cite the bill even once, are all either
Oh shit, I have the
lies
same
or
keyboard.
half-truths with justified measures behind them. Send this to an overreactive liberal who bought into these lies, and make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and comment what you think of this bill down below.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cam. Good video. Could have been a little longer. I'd like to see some more stuff in there, but that's okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go with a quick message from Rubio for July 4th.
On this day, 249 years ago, representatives of the United States of America appealed to the Supreme Judge of the world and declared American independence. They mutually pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor to each other. These great and remarkable men were determined to resist what they considered absolute despotism and to assert their right to rule themselves. That declaration and that pledge were the beginning of the most significant political event in the history of the world, the American Revolution. A revolution brought about by unprecedented prosperity, scientific progress, and military power. And it also set in...
Marco Rubio is really growing on me, you know. Didn't care for him much at first, but the more he's in the public eye, the more I'm starting to like him. Terrible freeze frame for him, though. This, sorry about that, buddy.
Motion something even more profound. It provided a model of rights-based political liberty that inspired the entire world. If you believe in the rule of law, the consent of the governed, and the progress of science and commerce, then you are a disciple of the American Revolution and founding. None of these blessings would exist without the debt we owe the men who brought this nation into existence. For 12 generations, our nation is built upon that foundation, and on the sacred national day, it is our duty to recall that no great nation can endure by forgetting, overturning, or undermining its history and its principles. Nations do not survive by teaching younger generations to despise their country or themselves. That is how nations descend into self-destruction. And what comes after is not a state of moral purity. What comes after is poverty, strife, and eventually, foreign conquest. Throughout history, these have always been the rule, with freedom the exception. We are a free, industrious, and innovative people. However, we are also a people connected through our shared history, our territory, our common language, unifying traditions, and profound religious faith. They have guided us for 12 generations, making possible our miraculous rise. We must always strive, especially on these days of national commemoration, to reawaken in ourselves that assertive, noble, and sensible spirit of our founders. Let it always live in us. Today is the first day of the 250th year of American independence. We are at the beginning of an era, and we are poised to recover American greatness. We are poised to
Happy birthday, America. That's such a great line. Man, first day of our 250th year. You know, the promise that one of the promises Trump made that I'm the most excited about, it hopefully is coming up soon. It's for a giant, fair for our 250th birthday, where every state is going to contribute to a big event going on. He mentioned that at the same time as he talked about taking some of the land from the federal forests, which, I'm for. As long as it's less than 1%, I think that's okay. I think it's a little silly though, because the problems we have with our housing market aren't related to land availability. It's related to some other issues, but I think that the opportunity for people to reinvigorate new town or old towns and create new towns is something that should be established. That's something I've always wanted to do, start my own town, basically. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I think that that's an okay. It's I'm kind of in between. I like our national parks. I'd like to keep them. Oh, and you know what? That makes me want to talk about alligator Alcatraz and the bullshit behind all that, too. So we'll get into that, though.
regain our sovereignty. We are poised to rediscover our spirit of liberty, to keep America worthy of the last full measure of devotion. We must prove ourselves worthy of the blessings of liberty. This is the core of our national renewal. This is our patriotic devotion today. So God bless you, and God bless our great nation, the United States of America, on this, our Independence Day.
A very special hello
There we
to
go.
Iowa.
Good speech, Marco. Good and quick. That's what we like about it. Now, apparently Trump said a couple of things in here that pissed off everybody. He says it's a little longer, and we typically get kind of bored by the Trump speeches, but let's just go for it and see what happens. We'll keep it rolling if we have commentary. When we have commentary. I got a lot to say. Whoa, excuse me, sorry.
We won all 3 times. So that's pretty good, and won by a lot, but I'm thrilled to be back in a state that I love, and I really do love it too, with thousands of proud, hard-working
Out in the
patriots
cornfields.
at the world-famous Iowa State Fairgrounds.
It looks like they're all standing. This girl could use a couple more hours of standing, it looks like.
18 months ago, the
Someone
people
tell
of Iowa
RFK to take
braved
her training.
sub-zero temperatures. You remember that night? Oh, that was cold. It was cold, but we were warm inside because we won by a landslide to turn out the first in the nation caucuses, and you delivered 98 out of 99 counties. What the hell county didn't? What's the name of that county? Let's get them out of here. 98 out of 99, that's not bad, Susie, I guess, right? We'll take that. But for President of the United States, Donald J. Trump,
I'm already
thank you
bored.
very much, everybody.
I'm already bored.
Then in November, we won Iowa by a landslide, 13 points, and it was a
Very winning.
I actually did more than he promised. I did.
I agree with that. He really has done more than what he promised.
There it says Donald Trump was right about everything, and I said, no. I said, no. That sounds a little too conceited, but it happens to be true. I must say. The largest spending cut in American history.
I know it sounds like I'm a little full of myself, but it's true. I am. I was right.
So last month, they had 0 people coming through our border. 0.
I saw that. That's crazy. It was like 10,000 a month during the Biden administration. Crazy numbers.
Thousands of people every time. Sometimes in a day they'd have over 100,000. We had 0. I don't know, for the month. It must be a little wrong. Maybe they're 2 or 3 or something, but I'll take the 0. And the group that makes up those stats, they're radical left Democrats, so it's probably true. The largest welfare reforms and
It's always such a good point. They tend to lie about everything, so if it sounds like it's good for Republicans, it's probably true.
They gave some of it away to Afghanistan in the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. We remember that? We remember that? We don't have days like that. We have days like we just had in Iran. That's the kind of days we have.
Yeah, that was huge.
Obliteration.
I can't believe how that turned out. I was so skeptical about that whole thing. And I'm not going to apologize for being skeptical about that either. I think that's totally reasonable. Totally reasonable to be skeptical about that. It's not often that like a strike like that will turn out positively. It's crazy that it did, I mean, it really is. I'm not going to apologize for being like we shouldn't go into another country and bomb shit and start a protracted war. Like, I think that's reasonable. And I think that everybody who was really worried about that was totally right to be worried about it. And honestly, the fact that it didn't happen is just, wow, that's crazy. That's so incredible. Like, I totally underestimated Trump's ability to avoid getting into a big war. And you know what else? He did the same thing before, too, with other countries. And I was just like, I don't care. They weren't Iran. It's different.
Now over if you look at it,
can't believe that all went down the way that it did.
Being taxed out of our lives, independence from over-regulation. We have independence now.
The insurance adjuster.
Whoa, what's happening?
$3,200 for my car accident, but then I found out what they.
That I think
what the hell? What the hell was that?
We've already cured inflation.
What just happened? I feel like I was assaulted.
We spent on murderers and gang members and prisoners from all over the world come into our country. We're getting them out fast, but it's a terrible thing what they've done.
All right, we worked it out. 17,000 per illegal immigrant. That's
11,888
what was it?
Murderers.
Roll back the tape. Roll back the tape and you'll figure it out. It was like $330 billion over the course of 4 years to deport every single person in the United States. That's about 17,000 per person, and we just funded ICE for about 74,000 or 74 billion, which is, and it's 85 billion a year to do it. So that's most of the illegal immigrants if they can actually get it done. Just on a money basis, right?
Front row Joe's here. That's very nice. Thank you.
We all know about Joe. If Joe was on my place, he would have imported all the illegal immigrants. If I was Joe Biden, Iran would be in the White House right now.
Come to about 200 rallies, and that means you like us. And I think he's a very successful guy, too.
7 new wars under Joe Biden.
Can you believe this?
Lots of ice cream to be had.
Front row Joes, they're all successful. But this is what they do for entertainment. But now it's not entertainment.
All right, it was fun while it lasted, but we got to get rid of Ghost Corbin.
The hottest country anywhere in the world.
Let's go back to normal Corbin. Here we go.
Many leaders of other countries. And we will ignite trillions of dollars.
There we go. Normal Corbin's back.
Take home pay for the typical family by more than $10,000 a year. And very importantly for Iowa, this bill rescues over 2 million family farms from the so-called estate tax or the death tax, in other words.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And not just the farms, but everybody else. The idea that you had to pay a tax to give your kids or family members your property after you died was insane. Do you have any idea how many people I've met in my personal life who were like, yeah, we just got this from grandpa, but we have to sell everything he ever owned in order to pay for the taxes, and we have to pay for the funeral and all this other shit. It's like, it's just so painful to listen to these stories. It's like, on top of losing a family member, now you're getting taxed into hell. So you can't even, the only thing that's for sure is death and taxes, they say, and you can't even avoid taxes and death. Like, it's just, it's like taxes are actually more unavoidable than death is somehow. It's crazy. Such an insult.
But we did the opposite. So just remember, to me, it's so important, and it was mostly important for places like we're at right now. It's really, I'm so proud of it. At the same time, this bill cuts $1.5 trillion in spending. So
over 10 years, yep.
Is being cut by $1.5
net. So that's including the spending.
I want to thank Republican
so
Congressmen
after the spending, there's still 1.5 trillion cut.
The Republican Senate.
And it does take illegal immigrants off of Medicare. We checked on it earlier. And SNAP benefits.
And I think we use it in the campaign that's coming up, the midterms, because we got to beat them. But all of the things that we've given. Oh,
but you know what? We didn't even talk about it. But something that Tim Pool was talking about in the Big Beautiful Bill is this gambling provision that's in it. And I think it's worth mentioning that could end up biting Republicans in the ass, like inside of it, because it's like a pretty nasty one. That gambling makes up a significant percentage or proportion of our GDP. A lot of people gamble. Entire cities and states even are entirely dependent on gambling. Professional gamblers have careers in gambling, and all of that's going to go out the window with this provision added in the Big Beautiful Bill. It's something that we should be aware of, and you know, maybe figure out a way if we can change it and repeal that portion of the bill.
Trump. But I hate them too, you know that?
Oh.
So do they.
Hang on.
And they wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that? So
yeah. And people are like, oh, he's a great unifier. I want to remind you guys of, I don't know if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. There is a, let me bring this over here. Yeah, it's going to be tough to find. I can't find it. But there was a speech that Joe Biden gave a while ago where he was lit like Darth Vader. And he's talking about how Republicans are a threat to national security, how they're the greatest threat to the American dream, how they need to be stopped at all costs. And, oh,
for some reaction, I want to turn to someone whose job was to monitor the nation's national.
Look at this
security.
lighting.
Many jobs he's held.
This straight up
11, of course, recreated the new huge
Darth Vader lighting.
To protect the homeland. A strange coinage at the time, though it's endured. The Department of Homeland Security.
People are trying to say that Trump is divisive.
Threats, of course, in the wake of
came into office trying to work with people, brought in Democrats into his cabinet.
Political violence specifically, and threats coming from within the U.S. As President Biden
and
mentioned.
here in this talk, Biden was talking. They cut it out at the end. Here we go.
To myself, as you give a speech like
they talk about
a narrow path.
MAGA being a threat to national security, saying that they're terrorists. And you know what you do with terrorists, right? You know what you do with treasonous people, right? So, like, you can say that Trump is divisive all you want. Saying I hate them after they've tried to ruin his life 100 different times in 8 years, on or more than that now, but they tried to have him arrested for like 700 years. And they weren't going to do anything, but then he ran. He's put in his bidding to run for president against Biden, and that's when all the court cases started. You know, they tried to try him in one of 2 states in the entire country. There's only 2 that have a very specific jury instruction called conceptual unanimity, right? California and New York are the only states where this exists. Do you remember the jury instruction that was given when they were trying him for the financial crimes that he didn't commit according to the bank he did business with, where there was no victims? It was, you don't have to find that there was a crime. You just have to agree that what was it? Hold on, let me look up the exact definition. It's conceptual unanimity. Complete agreement. I don't know where all modes are the same. Yeah, but that's different. We're talking about conceptual unanimity. So this is a law in New York and California. And essentially it's jury instructions where you can say it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter if you don't agree on the crime, as long as you agree that there was a crime. So this flies in the face of everything our country stands for as far as our judicial system is concerned. And in one of 2, there's only 2 states that allow that type of totally unconstitutional jury instruction. New York and California. And isn't it funny that that's where they try them? And you know what else? If you look it up, there's never been anybody who was tried under that jury instruction who was found not guilty, because it's so vague that you could find someone guilty for anything. So this is totally ridiculous. It shouldn't exist at all. And this is what they went after him with. And this is the felony counts trial too. So whenever you hear people say this whole felony counts thing, just remember that it was literally trumped up against Trump. It was total bullshit. Conceptual unanimity is a jury instruction under which there has never been a single person found not guilty. This flies in the face of everything we understand about how the Constitution and jury instruction and the judicial system works in this country. And I want to remind you again that if you're in favor of trying your enemy under this unconstitutional jury instruction, simply because you hate him and everything he stands for, that you are the one who is on the wrong side of history. Don't forget that.
I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country. You want to know the truth?
They do. That's a fact. And everything I just said is the perfect lead up to what he just said.
But it kicks illegal aliens off of Medicaid and food stamps and allows us to hire 3,000 new Border Patrol agents and 10,000 new ICE agents, and they are great patriots, the Border Patrol and ICE, to carry out the largest...
More funded than the Marine Corps now.
And I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that, but we have a country. We have a country to run, and we have so many people coming in that shouldn't be here. And they did. They came in from prisons, and they came in from drugs and gangs and drug lords, the worst in the world. They came in from mental institutions. They emptied mental institutions into our wonderful...
It was Venezuela
did
that.
Exactly what's going on in Iowa. You had some horrible crime in Iowa caused by illegal aliens, but we're getting them the hell out of here. We have no choice. And our great, big, beautiful bill, it will build the Golden Dome Missile Defense Shield. We're going to have the best shield.
We're going to... Israel thinks it's got a nice shield. Our shield's going to be way better. If it was Joe Biden's shield, everything would be starting on the inside. That's the opposite of how a shield is supposed to work.
We'd like to take 14 shots at you. I said, go ahead, I understand. They said, we're where they'd do it. I said, good.
What is going on?
It was a beautiful military
Oh, this is a repost? What the hell? No wonder there was an ad out of nowhere. That surprised
and they
us.
said, sir, 1 o'clock, okay?
That's crazy. That I didn't do that. That was
later.
the video.
Nobody but 4 gunners. We had 4, they call them gunners, and they shoot the Patriots. They shoot the missiles up. It's hard to believe. So all of a sudden, they said, we're ready. And they were a little nervous about doing it, I want to tell you. Can you imagine? They were nice enough. This is Iran to call me and tell me that they would like to shoot me at 14 times. So they want to shoot us. And I said, go ahead. And they shot 14 high-grade, very fast missiles. Every single one of them was shot down routinely by these 4 unbelievable gunmen.
Huge W for America.
And they did their
Again.
job.
Lots of W's.
And that was the end of that. But the big
All
thing
right.
was
We did our thing. We were bored by this again. I don't know about you guys, but you want to keep let's keep watching. We'll keep watching.
nuclear facilities, what those
I always do
countries
this.
did. And you know they're going to be in
I like these speeches,
tomorrow at
but
the White House. We're going to be celebrating. We took not only the pilots, but the people that flew the other planes, but also the mechanics that had these planes.
ah, that's cool.
37
The often
hours
forgotten about
without a
mechanics.
stop. You know, we had 50, it was so far away. We had 52 tankers. Think of that, 52 that's loaded up with oil. I wouldn't want to fly one of those suckers over random. I say, what happens if they're shot at? Well, sir, that's a tough situation. Not a pretty sight, but they were unbelievable. 52 tankers to load them up. They followed the planes in, and they never had to stop for fuel. They went 37 hours, actually.
Crazy.
And how incredible. What equipment. What equipment. And, you
I
know,
wonder why it took so
Russia,
long. I mean, you can fly across the entire world in like 20 hours. That's like the longest commercial flight. But I guess those planes are way bigger.
And we have the
Way bigger
strongest
engines.
military anywhere in the world.
Cruising higher.
But we're going to fully modernize our air traffic control system and expand school choice and really so much more. By the way, the air traffic control, you probably don't have that problem here. You know, you have planes land like they, but in some congested areas, you saw what happened with the helicopter and the plane and a lot of other things. If we had great equipment, and we should have had, it was all set up to go. And then Biden canceled the order when he came in, but he canceled a lot of
What?
orders because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. There's a case would have never happened. Bells would have gone off.
And we're gonna do something really quick. This is starting to bug me. We're gonna get rid of this, and then I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna make this into. Hold on, please hold.
would have gone off. Everything would have gone off. It would have never happened. Very simply, the one big beautiful bill
There
will
we go.
deliver the strongest border on earth, the strongest economy on earth, the strongest military on earth, and ensure the United States of America will remain the strongest country anywhere on this beautiful planet of ours. 165 days into the Trump administration, America is on a winning streak like, frankly, nobody's ever seen before in the history of the presidency. I said, they said, you know, sir, you're going to go down as one of the greatest presidents ever. I said, really? No, I said, really? I said, better than Washington? They said, yes, sir. I said, better than Honest Abe Lincoln? They said, yes, sir. I said, I like this guy that said that. That's a smart guy. He's up for a big
Jesus.
promotion right now. But just a few months ago, our country was cold as ice. We were laughed at all over the world. We were laughed at.
I believe that.
We were
I don't know
laughed
if
at.
it's true, but I believe it. I choose to believe that.
President.
Biden was so bad, guys. He was terrible.
I
He was
in
so
Saudi
bad.
Arabia, I was in Qatar. I was in UAE. Great leaders, strong, powerful, very rich leaders too, by the way. But great leaders, very smart people. And they said to me, the king of Saudi Arabia, but the three said the same thing essentially. They said, you know, a year ago we thought your country was finished. We thought it was dead. Dead. Horrible word. Dead. And they were right. The country was close to death. And he said, and you know what? You've been in there. At that time, it was 4.5 months. It was a couple of months ago. He said,
Things were pretty
right
grim
now,
for a while, gang.
you're in the hottest.
Pretty grim for a while. The way inflation was going, it was going to get pretty gnarly pretty quick.
You got the hottest, smartest.
It's not much better now.
And by the way, look at our stock.
And, you know, we've got a huge issue.
Hundreds of billions
I think
of
the biggest
dollars
issue
down.
we're facing right now. Hold on, let me see if I can do
And
this.
today we just set another record, the highest stock market in history. No inflation. And one of the great economists from the Wharton School of Finance, where I happened to go, he apologized. He says, you know, I think Trump outsmarted us all. And yesterday was the poll, and out of 77 economists, I came in second. I want to find the guy that came out first. There's somebody came in first. Can you believe it? But
Okay, this is the
we
debt
said
in
what was gonna
billions,
happen,
guys.
what's happening. And I'll tell you what, we had the greatest economy.
93, 4
This is
trillion,
gonna blow it away. You
or
watch.
4,000, no.
For
Would
the
it be
first
in
time in
billion?
years, this 4th of July, the economy is roaring, incomes
Billions,
are
billions,
soaring,
yeah, these are the
wages up,
trillions.
prices are down.
Bank
Gasoline,
bailouts.
you see what's going on with gasoline? It's
You
way
know,
down.
it's rising
what's going
to
on with
billion,
eggs? Eggs are
from
way
billions,
down.
and then all of a sudden,
Remember I came in my first
huge
week,
jump.
the fake news, those
Huge
guys
jump.
right
This
there,
was already
wow,
bad.
that's all
But then we have a huge jump.
right. No, a lot of fake. No, but we like it. It just shows you when you can get every story.
Look at where we're
100%
at now.
of the stories, no matter what you do, that's good. They make it as bad as possible.
Man,
And then
that's
you win in a
insane.
landslide. There's something.
This
wrong.
is a big deal,
but the fake
too.
news hit me with eggs. Remember, first week, 4 days.
Our
Eggs are through the roof.
Our deficit was so bad that our credit dropped, guys. That's not good.
They're up 5 times higher than they should be. They were going through the roof, but they were blaming me. I said, I just got here. And within 2 months, our great Secretary of Agriculture, who I think is with us tonight, Brooke, oh, look at you. Look, she is here. She flew all the way she comes from Texas, but I think she likes Iowa maybe even better. Look at her. You did a good job with groceries and with eggs. It's true. They said, we have them this time, finally. It took an egg to get me, but that didn't happen either. Now they're down to a normal price, and people are ordering like crazy, but inflation is dead.
We got another kickbot.
401ks and retirement accounts just hit an all-time record high. Did I hear what I think I heard? But we've achieved the lowest level of illegal border crossings in U.S. history, 0 illegals. Think of it, we had 0. And as I said, and I'll say it again, I love it because I have never seen any country suffer. No country has ever. There's never, don't worry, it's only fireworks, I hope. Famous last words. My famous last words. Trump said, don't worry, it's only...
Turn your head.
You always have to think positive. I didn't like that sound either. But last month, American-born workers...
Someone yelled, fight, fight, fight in the background. That's crazy.
That's American. While the illegal aliens lost 340,000. And we don't want bad for them, but look, we have a country to run, and we want to have them come in, and we want to have them help our farmers. You know, you probably saw I got myself into a little trouble because I said, I don't want to take people away from the farmers. And we're going to do something I think that's going to be good because we want all the criminals out. Everybody agrees that we're finding the criminals, the murderers, the drug dealers. We're getting them the hell out of here. But the farmers, some of the farmers, many of you sitting right here, I have 4 friends right in the 5th row. But some of the farmers, you know, they've had people working for them for years. And we're going to do something. We're working with Christie. And we're going to do something that we're going to sort of put the farmers in charge.
Okay, here's something we could do. Just a thought, right? We could deport them all because they're here illegally. I really don't give a fuck at all. At all. They need to go. Like, I'm sorry, but they've got to go. You can't have, this whole, oh, we got to help the farm worker. Just shut up. You're wrong. They've got to go. Those are American jobs for Americans and legal immigrants who are also Americans. This is unacceptable. The amnesty thing that Reagan is one of the worst things that Reagan did. It caused a lot of the problems that we're dealing with now, and so did a bunch of the other dumb shit that Reagan did. Like, for instance, getting rid of asylums, Iran-Contra, the list goes on, okay? We could get more into it, but it's really not worth it. The point is that this is stupid. These farm workers need to be fucking deported, like everybody else who's here illegally, whether they're criminal illegal aliens or peaceful criminal illegal aliens. They're all criminals because they broke the laws of this country by coming across the border illegally. Okay? Every one of them that did that contributed thousands of dollars to the child trafficking industry, to the sex trafficking industry. Okay? They're contributing to the fentanyl trafficking industry. They're contributing to the devaluation of American earnings, which is also contributing to inflation. They're contributing to Democrat voter counts because of the way the census works in the sanctuary cities, which is also a huge problem because the Democrats have fully lost their fucking mind. They're not normal anymore. They're crazy cultists who vote for communism on a regular basis. So you need to stop playing footsie with these people. Farm workers are on notice. Find American workers. Fire your illegal immigrant employees, because if you don't, you're going to lose everything. And then they'll get deported. That's the solution.
And if a farmer's been with one of these people that work so hard, they bend over all day. We don't have too many people can do that, but they work very hard and they know them very well. And some of the farmers are literally, they cry when they see this happen. If a farmer is willing to vouch for these people, in some way, Christy, I think we're going to have to just say that's going to be good, right?
No.
We're going to be good with it.
No.
Because we don't want to do it where we take all of the workers off the farms.
No, because what you're doing is you're doing legalized slavery. And that just costs Americans more. No. You get rid of them. All of them. No exceptions.
Farms to do great like they're doing right now. So Christy Norm has done a fantastic job. And Tom Homan.
And if you're talking about making these people citizens, I'm not really okay with that either, because they broke the laws to get here in the first place. Also, the farmers don't want that anyway, because the only reason they care more about the illegal immigrants on their farm than Americans on their farm is because they don't have to pay them minimum wage.
And they get thrown out pretty viciously, and we can't do it. We got to work with the farmers and people that have hotels. And
you can do it. Man up. Grow a pair. Don't be a pussy.
And we're going to put you in charge. We're going to make you responsible. And I think that that's going to make a lot of people happy. Now, serious radical right people, who I also happen to like a lot, they may not be quite as happy, but they'll understand, won't they?
No, they don't understand. This is completely unacceptable. It's not even about radical right. This is a moderate position. People who are here illegally cost Americans money. Period. End of story. It is expensive. They devalue our wages. We already have enough of that. Everybody has to be in the workforce because inflation is so crazy. It is essentially impossible to have a single parent home. The cost of that is a reduction by nearly 50% of the regular wages of everybody. It's a self-eating snake. You have to stop. Get rid of the illegals. Stop letting there be a third class of slave labor available to corporations, because corporations are fucking evil, even if they're a farm. And their entire goal is to make as much money as possible. If they can get away with paying you fucking nothing for the job, they will do it. They will do it. It's not a radical right position to say get rid of all of the illegal immigrants. It is a pro-American position to say that. Before the 70s, when women were forced into entering the workforce by modern feminism brainwashing, you could do all these things I'm talking about. You could have a single parent home. on one income, homes cost 12 grand, that you made like 15 in a year. The rates were really high because everything was so cheap and affordable. You were able to pay off your home in a 5 to 6 year time span. These people don't get it. Women entering the workforce has been a net negative for wages specifically, okay? This isn't an anti-woman thing. It's just a fact. When you have, it's supply and demand. The more supply of workers, the lower your wages get. We're artificially supplementing the workforce with people who will accept lower wages, which is even worse. It's even worse than there just being a larger supply of workers. This is why there's people in this country who can't afford to make ends meet. This is why kids are going through so much bullshit, because you can't have the mom at home or the dad at home if you want to be progressive about it, because you have to have two parents working to be able to afford anything. This is like the crux of the issue in the whole United States right now. Most of our problems are spawned from this economic spiral, and we have to pull back. This is why I advocate culturally for women to stay at home and stop working and take care of the kids, because they would prefer to do that in reality. It's just nobody wants to fucking work, really. Very few people do. And women didn't used to have to. And they're being told that they want to by people, when it's not true. Most women would like to be stay-at-home mothers. That's the preferred. Why do you think they want rich men? Okay? That's what they would like to do most of the time. And the women who don't made up the 30% of the workforce that women have always historically made up. That was fine, because men were 92% of the workforce up until the 70s. That's why things are getting so bad. There's too many workers. Like, unemployment being really high is really good for wages. And if you take women out of the equation, and women want to be stay-at-home moms, it would be better for the economy. This is a huge problem. It would be much better for the economy. So culturally, we need to do this, because otherwise people like Trump are going to puss out and allow your wages to be reduced drastically by slave labor.
They'll understand that you're the one that brought this whole situation up. Brooke Rollins brought it up, and she said, so we have a little problem. The farmers are losing a lot of people. And we figured it out, and we have some great stuff being written, and let the farmers be responsible. And then if the farmers don't do a good job, we'll throw them the hell out of the country. We'll let the illegals stay, and we'll throw the farmer the hell out, okay? Get ready, farmer, I'm telling you. But violent...
He's joking, obviously.
The fake news will write that.
Yeah, and they already
Donald
did.
Trump will throw farmers out of our country. They will write it. Because whenever I'm sarcastic, you know, when you can't be sarcastic as a politician. Well, if you're me, you can't be if you're so I want to say I was only kidding. No, the fake news will write it. Donald Trump wants all
He really
farmers thrown
legitimately
out
has
of
to
the
say he's
audience
kidding
booed
after
the hell
fucking
out of him.
everything
There
he
was no
says.
No, they're fake news. That's why nobody watches them anymore. Violent crime is plummeting, and we're on track to reach the lowest murder rate ever recorded by the end of this year. It looks like we're doing way.
Really? That's interesting.
And that's knowing that we have a lot of people in the country that we didn't have in the country 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, we have a lot of people that they allowed into the country that are serious criminals. A lot of them are on their way out, however. Iran's nuclear enrichment has been obliterated. Remember when CNN said, it wasn't obliterated. It was maybe damaged or damaged badly, but obliterated is too strong a word. No, it was obliterated. That's now been proven. The Atomic Energy Commissions, everything that's been obliterated. And they were trying to demean me by saying that, but they were really demeaning those great pilots and people and mechanics that got those planes over there and were able to shoot from high up in the air going very, very fast, with potentially a lot of things being shot at them, and hit every single one. They're trying to demean me, but to me they were demeaning them. And they got out of the plane and they said, what the hell? We hit every single target. They know better than anybody. But now that's been proven. It's CNN fake news and scammers that work for them.
All right.
Scam writers
Well,
work
that
for
was
them.
the section we wanted to hit. We know that the fake news sucks, and we know that the Iran. We went over the Iran stuff. Like it was obliterated. The IAEA says so, and they have a vested interest in lying about everything. So, yep, I think we're good on that one. Time to get away from this stuff. I want to get into some other little things. I've got a quick clip from Tales from the Inverted World in here. This is my appearance that I did on the show. I called in, and we're just gonna watch it. I'm gonna kind of disappear for this one because I want to be able to repost this. So I'm gonna go quiet while we watch this, and we'll talk about it after. And I'm gonna grab a drink. I'll be here, so if I need to pause it and say something, I will. But it's fun. It's just a little UFO. It's a little UFO story I have from recently. So,
well, let's get to another caller.
Yeah, I felt that, by the way, when you said that your bank is an hour away. Mine is too.
Yeah,
So I felt that.
Yeah, we
All
are
right.
in the middle of nowhere.
Let's get Corbin Douster in here.
All right.
Corbin, if you can hear us, engage your mic.
Hello. Corbin, are you there?
He's got a cool avatar. He's got the Northern Lights going on in the background, but he's got no mic.
All right. So signs of life. They're talking about water on Mars recently. I don't know if you saw that story.
All right, now I got a mic for you. I just need you to unmute it.
Corbin, we are here.
There he is.
hey,
What is up?
Yeah. What's up?
not much, guys. How we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be on. I'm happy to be here, and I'm a big fan of you guys.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. So I've got, you can kind of take your pick of the litter. I have a missing time story, kind of boring one, to be honest.
Okay.
I have a UFO story. This one's awesome. It's like gold certified. And I have now I forgot. Oh, a demon story. So you can pick whichever one you want.
I'm gonna go with gold certified.
He had me at gold certified.
I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready.
It was great branding. Let's do it.
All right. So, backstory, not very short. I'm a private pilot, right? I
Okay.
was training to become a commercial pilot. So I know a little bit when it comes to looking at the sky.
Yeah.
I was at work. I sell cars. I was at work showing a vehicle to somebody in the back, and it had just gotten dark out. Sun just went down. And off in the distance, I see all these lights. You know the spotlights that they used to do in front of theaters when movie theaters used to be big? You could see them from the other side of town,
Yep.
like during a show release,
Mhm.
movie release. That's what it looked like. It looked like 7 or 8 of those.
Hmm.
And I was like, but it was elevated, like it was coming out of the middle of the sky, and it was just really, really bright, probably several miles out. And I turned to the guy that I'm talking to, and I'm like, I just noticed those. Do you see those? He says, yeah. I was like, I'm a pilot. I have no idea what the hell that is.
Hmm.
He was like, I'm an aerospace engineer, and I have no idea what the hell that is. I was like, okay, well, that's weird. So, this is definitionally a UFO. I know it's not like necessarily an alien craft or anything. But then the next day, I'm talking to a coworker who's a good friend of mine. And we're just having a normal conversation. This was around the same time that all the sightings were happening, the drones were happening, all that stuff was going on, like toward the beginning of the year.
Yep.
And so I was talking about it a bunch, and I had never had a UFO sighting, but I didn't say anything about this. I had forgotten about it. He says to me, dude, I need you to not be annoying about this, but I'm going to show you this. My wife was walking the dog the other day. So let's say I was south of where the lights were. He lives east of where the lights were. And he says, my wife was taking a walk with the dogs the other day, and she saw this in the sky, and she was like, oh, that's so weird. What is this? And so she took a video from a different part of town of the same thing me and this aerospace engineer saw and couldn't identify, thinking herself that it was a UFO. And he didn't even want to share it with me. I didn't tell him about my sighting. He just volunteered it to me. And so from where they were at, it was to the west.
Okay.
So I was able to actually figure out where it was coming from to make sure there wasn't an airport there, and there wasn't, or anything like that. It was out in the middle of nowhere. It was open, unworked land. So 3 different people, video evidence, nobody knew what it was, identifiable area, gold certified. That was crazy sighting.
Did the video look exactly like what you were seeing the day before?
No, it was identical. It was the same thing. Obviously, different angle, but
Right.
yeah, it was the exact same thing. And like I said, it was like several spotlights that went up, and then they showed up as quickly as they disappeared. They vanished all at the same time. I stayed out and watched them for a minute. We both did. We were really mesmerized by them. They were really, really bright. It was easily like 1.5 miles, 2 miles away.
So it was like they were coming down from the clouds.
No, they were coming up.
They were coming up.
They were coming up, which is why I was like, maybe it's a runway light or something.
Gotcha.
That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it could happen. But it was a pretty clear night too, so it wasn't like a trick. There was multiple of them. They were uniform in the way that they were shooting out the light themselves,
And
so it was just super weird.
was it like a golden light?
No, it was legit like a LED almost, right?
Oh, okay.
Like, it was white light.
White light. Okay. And it looked like it was all
Yeah.
coming from one area for the most part? Like not maybe not
Yeah,
one source, but
it-
and from the same basic area?
Yeah, from the same area, but not from the ground. It looked like they started in the middle of the sky.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird. That's weird.
Super weird.
Did
Super
you-
weird. A pilot, aerospace engineer, and random woman. There's video. We triangulated the position. There's nothing above or below the area where we saw him. So that's almost as good as it gets. Those are pretty wild ones.
That is wild. Did you ever look up online if anyone else saw anything similar?
I looked around. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find any articles around it, but the area I live in is all boomers. They were probably in bed by then. I don't want to dox myself.
Yeah,
but,
I don't want you to do that. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so like median age in my area is like 82. So
Oh,
there was
nice.
like nobody out.
Right.
So it is what it is. It was like almost 9 o'clock.
Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Very strange. And they just disappeared after a little while.
Yep, just they reappeared. They appeared out of nowhere all at the same time because it was multiple of them, and then they disappeared at around the same time. There was like one lagging behind, 1 or 2 lagging behind, and then it disappeared too.
So I know.
And here's the other thing:
yeah.
like when you're flying, there's a reason why you're not supposed to point those lasers and flashlights and stuff at planes.
Right.
I've had that happen to me while I was flying
Oh my
at night,
goodness.
and you can't see anything. It like blinds you.
That's crazy.
And it's so obvious where it's coming from, and actually the FAA is really good at like figuring out who did it. So most of the time when people do that, they actually do get arrested or fined
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
because you report it in from the plane and they're like on it. They know exactly where it's coming from. You've got a really good chance of catching them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I fly with my buddies sometimes, and we've had to report drones and stuff like that were in like no fly zones near the airport, and you're like, you see it, as it like I'll usually co-pilot for him, and I'll be constantly looking around, for birds or things like that to fly because he's flying like a one prop, Saratoga.
Yeah, same.
And it's awesome, but it's also your head's got to be on a swivel because you don't know where these aircraft are coming from, and sometimes there's some idiot flying a drone right by the airport when he shouldn't be, and it's crazy how insanely dangerous that is. Like you can actually take out somebody and kill a number of people in a plane crash, just being a jerk like that.
Yep.
So
General aviation is not safe, right? It's like airline aviation is the safest way to travel, but general aviation, single prop planes, Cessnas, Pipers is what I flew. They're not safe planes. Right?
Not at
they
all.
break down all the time. They have
Mhm.
engine issues all the time. They crash all the time. Oh, really quick. Are you a member of MS-13? I noticed the Bulls hat.
So you'll notice in the pictures that Abrego Garcia is wearing the black and white one. I actually did try to purchase the black and white one from the lids out in Dulles, and it was too small.
Let's see your finger tattoos. You have knuckle tattoos?
No.
Yeah,
I
let's see their
abstained from the
hands.
knuckle tattoos.
Okay, all right.
I'm Chicago, born and raised basically, but I
that's
abstained from the
hilarious.
prison tattoos. I
Okay.
only went to jail one time.
I love Chicagoans. There's only a couple I've met that I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, they're good peeps.
Most of us, but some of us are complete dicks.
So
too,
you said you said that this was happening around the time the drones were happening in Jersey. What was your take on all that while it was going down?
So I think that those were definitely either experimental government or like alien UFO. They're the I don't know if you guys remember the story of the police chief out of New Jersey who came out and said, we don't know what these are. They're going way too fast for our scanners.
Yeah.
We tried to figure out what they were and we can't.
Yep.
I think that when Trump came out with his report on it, that he was fed a bunch of bullshit, which leads me to believe that it's one of those two things. But from all the videos I saw, there was a lot of fake ones that were just like actual drones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because that always happens, and there are drones, but there was many of them that were not drones at all. They were definitely something else, and there was a lot of them. And in my opinion, and I'm not a professional, but I have friends who are professionals as far as aviation is concerned, and they agree with me that the ones in question, that were irrefutably not like regular drones were definitely at least some government experimental technology.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. And then before I let you go, what do you think you saw on this night when it just got dark? Do you think it's something like what you're just saying, military tech, or do you think it's something extraterrestrial or weird like that?
Well, it's hard to say because when you see lights in relation to like any kind of UFO stuff, most of the time it's like, well, that's just this kind of plane and it's got these lights and it's required to be on at night, right? But these were really bright spotlights, which are not legal. They were in an area because I was actually right by an airport, but it was not in the direction of the airport. It didn't have anything to do with that. And it didn't make sense that they had anything to do with like at least any GA planes. Now the issue is that they're LED lights, right? So like to say conclusively that that's like aliens is not really that doesn't really make sense either. But they were also dancing around. So it's hard to say. Like, I think that unidentified is the most accurate way to put it. I don't know. I think that whenever it comes to the alien, I'm one of those people who's like, any technology sufficiently advanced is essentially magic. And just like with Atlantis and stuff, I don't want to put it on the aliens because that's just like hand waving it away. I like to say there's probably a human solution to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the case here. But who knows? I'd like to be wrong. I want to believe, as they say, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. It's these things we can't explain. They're bizarre. I think it's typically human stuff. I mean, there's some things I've heard I can't explain. It's hard to imagine some humans doing it, but I think we've built things we just can't comprehend yet. That, by we I mean people in like deep underground building some sort of crazy Lockheed Martin thing that they just test out in the public. Maybe you saw one of those.
I think that the biggest indicator that aliens are real are actually crop circles. They're probably the most like definitive proof of aliens.
Interesting.
And it's just like with the drone thing. Yeah, a good amount of them are done by people, but some of them are not able to be recreated by people and they appear too quickly and the designs are kind of uniform across. I don't know if you've looked into those. I haven't heard you talk about it, but if you haven't, I encourage you to deeply because they're way, way, way more likely to be aliens than anything else.
Yeah, I think it was last week we did a bit on it because there's a new one out of Wiltshire and it looks fake to me. It's like a Joker face, but that story led me to looking at crop circles, something I never really took all that seriously. And after that, I'm like, okay, I got to look into these a little more because some of them are just so bizarre and they claim to have been made in just seconds and they're so intricate. So either we've got something we don't know that just makes that stuff immediately, or it's something else.
I feel like you got to look at old pictures of crop circles in order
Yeah.
for it to really. Because AI is just ridiculous now, and there's a crop circle with an aerial view. There's no way in hell you're going to be able to tell whether it's real or not from looking at these things, man.
No, what you need to see is the weaving pattern of the grass, right? Because that's the indicator. When people do it, it just kind of gets crushed underneath. But when you have these really ridiculously complex ones, the ones from the early 90s or early 2000s, late 90s and stuff like that, you're finding these really complex geometric patterns. Sure, that's par for the course for these, but when you look at the actual like wheat or whatever crop it's being put into, they're not crushed or destroyed, they're woven into each other. And that's where it gets crazy. Like when you start seeing all the details on that, like it's one of those things where it's really easy to be like, oh, you crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy bullshit, but the more you look into it, the more you're like, wait, maybe the moon is hollow. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things.
Now we're talking. Do you have a certain crop circle story you recommend us looking into?
What I would say is the Y-Files did a really good episode about it, and I would check that out to get started. I don't have a ton of the specifics on hand because I lost it in an old computer. Yeah, I'm like a file guy.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, the Y-Files are amazing. They do some great videos. So I didn't know they did one. I'll look that up for sure. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the phone call.
Hey, before I go, if you guys don't mind checking out my YouTube channel,
Go
Corbin, Dauster. I cover news and stuff, and I just started it up. It's getting pretty popular with shorts, and I would love to have you guys there. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, congrats on that, and thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Corbin.
Thanks. Take care. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, man. Awesome.
It's true. I do love you and thank you. So yeah, that was my appearance on the Inverted World podcast. That was pretty cool. I had fun doing that. Before I got into any of this YouTube stuff, excuse me, burpy boy today. Before I got into any of this stuff, I was actually a contributor on a show called Dangerous Conversation. The few episodes that started back up because it got reignited a few years back are on Spotify. I didn't get my my pre-recorded spots on there because the guy running the show, Scott Ledger, passed away. So it's just unfortunate. He was a good guy. Maintained contact with his daughter and just check in with them every once in a while. I was thinking about starting the show back up myself. It was like a conspiracy-centered show, and I really am into this stuff. I think it's interesting. But what I mainly sent in for him was stuff pertaining to occult magic, having to do with hermeticism and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I wanted to be able to take it and cut it up and put it up on the channel. So I took myself off screen and muted myself for a little bit. So hopefully that didn't bother you guys too much. I hope you liked it. And we're just going to go ahead and move on now. Thank you, Shane Cashman, for the time, and I'm glad you laughed at my MS-13 joke. I appreciate that. So now let's get into some of this drama. Before we do that, though, if you're watching now, make sure you go and subscribe. Give me a follow over on Kick. If you're on Kick, if you're on YouTube, just hit that little subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss the next live show we do. Once or twice a week we get on here. We all get caught up with the news, and I try to do it when other people are off, like days like today, like 4th of July and weekends and stuff like that. Because, there's just kind of a gap in the news coverage and stuff like that. We spent the entire first section of the stream, like the first hour, going over a lot of the stuff in the Big Beautiful Bill. Not really possible to go over all of it, but we did go over a lot of it. I spent another 10, 15 minutes criticizing Donald Trump for his constant cover of the illegal alien farm workers and like his desire to protect them for some reason. So, now we're going to get into some of the drama here, okay? So, we're going to react to a react of Vosh reacting to himself. He made some crazy statements, and for some reason I'm only just now hearing about it, even though the video appears to be like 5 years old. So it's kind of an old video, but we're gonna watch that really quick, and then we'll move forward from there and see what I got. I'm gonna skip forward past him because I can't stand his voice.
There are several problems with this clip. First and foremost, and I don't know why, I sound like a whiny little bitch in this clip. I don't know if I had a cold at the time.
I wonder why.
I don't know if like my mic settings were off, but listen to me talk.
I wonder why.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna... Here, wait, hold on. I should probably move...
I love the quiet admission that he just always sounds like a whiny little bitch, but he had his mic settings off. It's like self-report, buddy. Come on.
Move my webcam down because I'm like blocking. No, wait, shit! Faces. I've been doing it the whole video. I just want to say, do you think it maybe speaks a little bit to the fact... Okay, we've swapped. The real... Current Vosh is top right, okay? That we have a rape culture when we put 6 people in a room, little bit to the fact that we have a rape culture. The fact that we have a rape culture.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
that's
feel
just
like
what
I
you
might have
always
like
fucking
stuff
sound
in
like, bro.
back then, but basically the context of the video was they brought conservatives and liberals together to talk about whether or not the Me Too movement has gone too far. As evidenced by the title, has the Me Too movement gone too far?
You can't
And
see
the
it,
argument
but
that I'm
it's in the
making here,
top
in
right.
the first like 3/4 of the clip
Top
is
left.
essentially this. It's me saying like, a fuck ton of people are sexually harassed or abused or assaulted or raped. We don't know how many. It's really difficult to know, but like, because it is such a frequent occurrence, we should...
It's really difficult to know. We don't know for sure, but it's probably 33% of all women, which means that most men are rapists.
should probably make an effort to be understanding to those who have like rape claims or like rape accusations or like their stories. We should probably make an effort to like listen to these people.
Yeah, I mean, except the thing is that, and this is unfortunate that it's true, but the problem is that women will be like, I was raped, and you're like, well, what happened? And they're like, well, I had sex with somebody while I was drunk. Or it'll be like, I was abused in my last relationship. And it'll be like, okay, well, what happened? Well, he was playing a video game and he got really mad and he threw the controller across the room. And I'm not saying like that there aren't genuine stories that are legit, that go too far and all this other stuff. But what my point is that they often over exaggerate because they want the pity, they want the empathy from the girlfriends and the other people because they thrive off that shit, you know? So like there will be like this woman, for instance, is about to tell a harrowing story of how she was raped. And that's real and it's really bad. And it's like, that is obviously not what I'm talking about, but the thing is, once you separate all those bullshit stories, now all of a sudden you're talking about like 1 out of 10 women has had a real experience. And then of those women, how many of them have reported it? Well, okay, so, and even 1 out of 10 seems high, but still.
And that Me Too
You get
is
my
not going
point.
too far. Like,
The more you get specific, the less the number is.
Shape or form. So that's the first 3/4 or so, okay? So I say all that, and then we get here's the reason why I'm canceled. Get ready.
God, I wish you stayed fucking canceled, you worthless scumbag. Fucking disgusting communist.
Like, I don't think things are on the same level, but things impact you in like bizarre ways. But yeah, like because the perpetrator wasn't white, and because he was like, part of like a certain religion.
Wait, are we being real?
Yep, he's about to have a full-blown crash out. I wonder what religion she's talking about. It's Islam.
And the police were basically just like, we can't because of cultural differences, which I don't feel like is such a good...
What? Bullshit.
Yep.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Full-blown crash out.
Rape confession onto how the rape fugees fucking Ahmed Muhammad.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it too, Vosh, because this is insane that he's crashing out because she was raped by someone who's an Islamist. And then because of that, the cops did nothing about it, which we know is a fact now because of Tommy Robinson and his reporting out of the UK. We know that's a fact. There's rape gangs in the UK. Gangs. Like the mafia, but for raping women. It's part of their religious belief structure. They want to convert people by taking them. I'm not kidding. This is how it works. And he's over here pretending like she's racist because she was raped by an Islamist.
And that's the end of the clip right there. Do you see the hypocrisy? The hypocrisy is that I spent some time saying you should believe women, and then I didn't believe a woman. Do you get it? You understand?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get it. But there's a little bit more to it than that. Because you don't just not believe her. You also hate her and think she's a racist now. You can't even get raped by an Islamist and not like them.
Well, let's break it down.
Let's.
I think this is actually a really interesting case study.
It's
the
not.
extent to which we should believe people.
It's actually very straightforward. And you're a piece of shit.
When they have certain claims. So, they were talking about their experiences with sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman...
And do you know where the most sexual assault in the world happens?
This one is a far-right Australian YouTuber with a history of making videos that are, I mean, just Islamophobic. But
so, this fucking scum, dude. This guy is human debris. Is not even. Is animal debris. There's no. How fucking unbelievable. He's still running defense for his own dumb bullshit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But we can go for...
Her story is more believable because it's Islamists who were not prosecuted because of the basis of their religion. And if we rewind the tape, you'll recall that she didn't even say. She was said of a certain religion. She didn't even say who they were.
Which are pretty dicey. Now, we're talking about our rape experiences here. So let's listen for the moment when things get a little weird.
I don't think things are on the same level, but things impact you in like bizarre ways.
That's true. Trauma can impact you in a bizarre way.
So she knows what she's talking about.
But yeah, like because the perpetrator wasn't white.
Because they weren't white. Nobody had mentioned race thus far.
Uh-huh. She is, because the person was specifically not prosecuted because of this. This is a common thing in these parts of the world. Retard. A common thing. And if you would just take a step back and listen to the reporting of people like Tommy Robinson without calling them a far-right grifter for 2 fucking seconds, you would know that. Look at this comment. Gulag her. These are the people you're dealing with. The extent to the evil within these people cannot be understated. They're awful, disgusting, and in his case, pedophiles who hate you. They want to see you dead. And what is your crime? Being raped. That's why. I can't do another second of this. Fuck this guy. I fucking hate this guy's guts. I cannot stand it. Crazy. Insane. Let's watch something a little more patriotic. A little palate cleanser. Alright, so we've got another anti-ice clash in Seattle. Used to live in this place. It sucks balls. Guy's trying to burn a flag. Another guy comes in. He's like, no. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. And then he gets attacked by 6 people trying to protect the American flag from getting burned. I gotta tell you too, this waving the flag upside down thing, it's a little pedantic, I'll admit. But it is a violation of federal law because there's not actually a fucking emergency. You're just in an insane cult. If you don't know, because I've got a couple of viewers in other countries, if you don't know, in the United States, and probably in other parts of the world, if there's an emergency, or you hang the flag upside down like that, it's a distress signal, right? And for them, the distress signal is that ICE is carrying out totally legal deportations of illegal immigrants that every other country does on a regular basis. We're just a little behind, so it looks a little extreme. Because we had 4 years of an administration not carrying out these legal deportations. And so now they're protesting these legal deportations, calling them illegal, calling the president a fascist for following the law. And so they're waving the flag upside down. And it is, well, it might not be illegal, but it's typically illegal to falsely claim that there is some sort of distress, right? Like this is like calling 911 when nothing's actually happening. You're falsely reporting a crime. He's on the side of America, you dumb bitch. Burn that shit, bro. He's like, fuck you, don't burn the flag. Let's go, and they're trying to fight him. There you go. Happy 4th of July, gang. Got more fireworks. The irony of these cop-hating, America-hating motherfuckers waving the U.S. flag upside down. The only flags they wave properly are flags of other countries. Shooting off fireworks as weapons against police officers. Intentionally, violently attacking people. It's insanity. Insanity. They need to go to fucking therapy, frankly. That's really, I think, the biggest issue here. They need to go to therapy. Alright, so that was a little bit of a palate cleanser. That felt better to watch. I'm glad that there was somebody there. Mexican-American prevents a flag from getting burned because he knows where he's at and why he's here. And he listened to Marco Rubio's 2.5-minute speech from earlier. Alright, so next up on the docket, we're going to talk about Hassan, Hamas Diddy Osama Piker. The terrorist supporting communist with a Gucci bag. The guy's a real motherfucker. He's one of the worst people in existence. Likely committing sedition on a regular basis, at least. In some cases, possibly committing treason. So we're going to go over to X. Okay, and we're going to find this post here. Let's see if we can find it. Hassan, terrorist. Here we go. We got it. That was quick and easy. So this guy is an actual legitimate terrorist, a Yemeni terrorist. He says, thank you for your support of Palestine. He's holding up this sign right here. I believe Nuxtaku responded on this too. Okay. And this other guy who I actually don't know or care about. But this guy's a terrorist. This is also a terrorist. And after that, this clip we're about to watch happens. We're going to watch the clip and Legal Mindset breaking it down for us so we can get really into it.
Twitch has a brand new Hassan problem, and this one could have huge repercussions, both legal and non-legal. We're going to get into that today. Of course, on the Legal Mindset, we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and I'm bringing you this Fast Facts premiere, a quick and dirty version, while I once again...
I don't know if you've seen this clip, but it is insane. Hassan goes fully unhinged. It's a complete and total crash out. Like, I hope he shows the whole clip in this, but a viewer is like, you're basically committing treason. I can't wait to see people like you hung, which is like, it's kind of a crazy statement, but at the same time, the penalty for treason is hanging. And it is somewhat debatable whether or not Hassan is actually committing treason. Not gonna lie. So that happens. Hassan doxes the guy live on stream. Okay, turns out he doxes the wrong guy and then brandishes a firearm live on Twitch to threaten the guy, to be like, oh, well, you can't hang me. I'd like to see you come and try. I'll fucking shoot you, basically. It was crazy. It was insane. It was like, Hassan has been extremely unhinged for a long time now. You know, I've hated him since before the terrorist stuff came out because he was a communist, and I cannot stand communists. It is like my biggest pet peeve. Like, how are you a communist in 2025 with like 200 years of 100 million dead? But and gulags and all this other shit. I'm actually writing a documentary for the channel about communism. So I just don't get it, but that I was like, okay, well, fuck that guy. I just don't want to listen to him. He's a liar. He's a propagandist. He's a communist. I don't want anything to do with it. And then I found out recently with the Nux drops that the guy is not just a communist. He's an actual terrorist, like, supporter, at least, right? And with the amount of money this guy makes and the amount of influence he has, it is exceptionally reasonable to make the argument that he's providing material support to terrorists. Now, is that sedition? Definitely. Is it treason? Maybe. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. It may be treason.
On a short vacation in lovely Phuket, Thailand. So another hotel room, another place, but still bringing you the freshest news. So make sure you like this video if you like.
Is this guy going to be the legal defense team for Johnny Somali now? Is that why he's in that part of the world?
The Fast Facts versions. So let's get right into it. Twitch has always taken a preferential stance when it comes to enforcing its guidelines.
Yeah, see Tectone for evidence of this claim. It's very true. They're pretty bad, honestly. There's a reason we're not multi-streaming on Twitch. You know, it would be free for me to do so. I will not do it. I could gain 1-2 extra followers, and that would be big for me right now because I don't have very many, you know, but I won't do it. I will not contribute a single penny to that awful, crumbling website. I already don't like Amazon. I don't like Google either, to be honest, but I already don't like Amazon. And this is like, their actions over the course of the past like 3 months have been irredeemable. Like, they would have to shut down and reopen with a different name entirely. Although I am thinking about maybe going the Rumble route. That might be a good idea.
At least it, when looking at its terms of service, has not always applied those equally to all groups and people. And one of the people that gets the most criticism for this, and that many folks across the board have said is the really recipient of a lot of the benefit of the terms of service without the burden of punishment, has been one Hassan Piker. Now, today, there was an absolutely extreme
got suspended
incident
for one day for
really
calling for
points
violence,
out
and it was
the
his day off
problem for
already.
Twitch in having this unequal enforcement involving Hassan, and how this can have legal consequences. And this is involving him swinging around what appears to be, and that's the very key here, legally and overall, what appears to be a weapon. So let's take
Bro,
a
the
look
magazine
at the
fell
video
out. It was
reports
clearly a
that
firearm.
I found over on X, which highlights this incident. So we'll take this clip here and give some commentary as we go.
It's time to crusade Iran and Gaza. Mamdani communist. Let's go to war against the left.
So so to give you some background here, it appears there's a chatter in his chat who is made a
Based.
bunch of comments, obviously These are comments that are not fitting with the vibe in the crowd of Hassan's.
Damn, we will fight the left before they elect a communist. Every infidel shall be hung for treason. Jesus Christ. Bro is going a little hard. I mean, for me, I'm against the death penalty, so, but I'm also against communists. So what's the solution? It's very simple. You don't have to kill them. You just exile them. No more American citizenship. Citizenship revoked. Expedited deportation. After, of course, a criminal trial. Yeah, I think that's the best solution.
Chat, obviously, for any of this, he would have the ability to block and or ban this person. Of course, every single content creator retains the right to ban people out of their chat for whatever reason. Some people are more permissive, some people are more restrictive. That's really up to the creators on their platform. If they choose to ban people for anything, that's up to them. We wouldn't be here today if this was just a block and ban incident, which, once again, I think there was plenty of grounds for him as a creator saying, hey, I don't want this person here. And some of this language was even pretty extreme, saying hang Hassan for treason. Yeah, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme.
You know what? Blocking and banning someone.
However, at the same time, at least you're talking about the consequences of a jury trial, right? Like, it is extreme, but that is literally and lawfully the outcome for many people who are tried for treason and found guilty, right? So, like, he's not just saying kill Hassan Piker, which is not what I'm saying either. I would never say something like that. He's saying try him for treason, and if he's found guilty, then do what is necessary under the law. Like, that is it is a radical thing to say that I don't agree with, but at the same time, it's not as bad as half the shit this fucking guy says. Like, hiding and lying about rapes against Israelis because he doesn't like Jews, okay? Calling Houthi pirates Luffy and hosting them on stream, and even if they weren't, it doesn't matter that if they were or weren't a terrorist, an actual Houthi, he thought they were when he put them on stream, okay? Reading manifestos, just the constant terrorist apologia. He said that he thinks that the Houthis deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, this guy 10 toes down supports the Houthi terrorists. This is sedition, definitionally. And he's a naturalized citizen, I believe. I don't think he was born in the United States. I'm pretty sure he was born in Turkey and he's a naturalized citizen. His citizenship should absolutely be revoked. I think on the grounds of his communist support alone, but I'm a little bit radical when it comes to communists specifically, because they intentionally destroy everything they touch.
Someone for that would be called for. If someone came into my chat or anybody else's chat and said that about that creator, yeah, they would probably catch a ban. They would probably catch a block and a ban, and possibly a report, a broader report. But the response that Hassan gives here is not proportional nor appropriate to these comments. Let's play this.
In our sincerity and actually delivering for the very working people who've been left behind by our policy.
So let's be clear. He's gone and retrieved what appears to be a pistol. Now, many people have pointed out it could be airsoft or it is airsoft or whatever else.
It is not.
The key here is that it appears to be a real weapon. I'll also note, as someone who played airsoft for like 8-9 years as a kid, I had MP5s, I had pistols, I had a sniper rifle, even an airsoft sniper rifle. You're supposed to have an orange tip or a marker on the end of an airsoft. That would be not a typical airsoft to lack
If
that
you're
marker.
out here saying that this is an airsoft gun, you're just lying for Hassan, and you shouldn't be taken seriously. You can see in the same clip, and I don't know if it'll be highlighted, but you can see the magazine fall out of this firearm. Airsoft guns haven't I've shot airsoft guns. I used to go to airsoft guns every weekend with some friends. Okay? They have a magazine that's a fake magazine. You can see the ammo in the magazine. This is a real magazine. This is a real firearm, and that's, you know, I'm pro firearm. You should be able to have one. I would grab mine out of the safe and just cock it back and unload it and just make some noises with it on. You know, maybe I'll do that, but that's not the point. I'm not threatening a viewer with it.
Or remove that orange tip, even though, of course, some people do that. Some people make it more realistic. But the key here, and this is a key that is not just in analyzing this for Twitch terms of service, but also broader for the law, is that you can make a physical threat. You can make a threat or try to intimidate somebody with even a
fake gun. Yes. So, like, if you are, like, brandishing an airsoft gun that appears to be a real gun, doesn't have an orange tip, at somebody, like, for instance, a police officer, and aiming it at them and yelling out threats or something like that, they totally can shoot you. And they should be able to.
Weapon,
they don't know.
With a fake knife, with a fake gun, with a fake bomb. If you were going to try to hijack a plane and you attempted that with a fake gun,
or rob a bank with a fake gun,
it would not be material in terms of your defense. You would not be able to
Doesn't
say,
matter.
well, it was fake, so I couldn't do it all along. You know, when you get caught and arrested and thrown in jail, you don't get off because, oh, it was fake. No, you would lead a reasonable person to believe that was real, and a reasonable person could have fear of that knife, gun, bomb, whatever, despite the fact that it's not objectively real. So that's a defense a lot of people brought up, and I don't think that stands up. Let's continue here.
Politics compared with what President Trump has been able to do. You know, over the same period of time that I've been running, has been I would tell him, if the last person couldn't get my name right, we defeated them, and that's what it's going to look like again.
Okay, fair enough.
Once again, brandishing the weapon, flaring it around. Obviously, there's a point to this. Obviously, there's an individual who this is directed at. You know, this is something that's not really ambiguous in the general intention.
As you may. Oh, you found his.
There you go.
I'll show you 3 ways you can use your.
So here's another crazy thing about the doxing. So now you've paired, so you've linked up brandishing a weapon, what appears to be a real weapon, whether or not it is, whether it's an airsoft or whether it's fake. You've paired up.
It's totally irrelevant.
Brandishing a weapon with doxing, which is revealing their private information, which, by the way,
like, doxing alone is a threat against somebody's life. Like, no matter how you shake it, because then you can swat somebody, and that is also attempted murder. Because what's the point if you're not hoping that the cops will kill the person?
The way, in certain jurisdictions, in certain places in the world, is illegal. So you've done 2 things which are potentially illegal. There's the brandishing, the threats, the intimidation, and then you've got the doxing, right? So you've got 2 separate things you're now doing together. So that this is combining to make it even worse.
Wait, this is the guy?
First thing we want to do is download the YouTube VPN app, which we can do through the first link in the description.
Fuck are you gonna do, bro?
And of course, I do like the pop-up there just explaining that this is clearly against their TOS. This is something that is not, you know, holistic.
Well, they don't care because they agree with Hassan's politics.
Is, of course, against the Twitch terms of service.
They're also radical
Write a
communists.
petition? Let's do a crusade, he says. Let's do a fucking crusade, he says. Let's hang Hassan and Mamdani.
Hold on, let's take a second. Okay. This is a Glock. It looks like a Glock 19, but I could be wrong. I'm not that much of a firearms expert. Glock 19. Okay. No, it's not a 19. It's a longer version of... Well, no, it might be. Hold on. Let's take a... Oh, no, that's 100% a Glock 19. Okay, so we have a Glock 19 here. Huh. Well, it certainly does have the orange tip. I don't know. There was a couple of angles where you could see the barrel. Let's take a look at the barrel, huh? See, the thing about these is that this part is actually a little smaller than a regular Glock, right? And that's because there's a little pellet coming out and not a real gun. So here's a 17. It could be a 17. It looks really similar to a 17 as well. Alright, so let's just take a look at this. Handle, how's that handle look? Now, one thing I will say I admire is the finger discipline. Good on you for that. The giveaway is the handle, and I can't see it, but let's just keep watching.
For treason, he said. The fuck are you gonna do?
No, this is a real gun all day.
Go on a fishing expedition? Try to fucking put malware in my phone? Is that what you're gonna do? You skinny bitch.
And to be clear, nothing that Hassan said would be necessarily impermissible. He could say all those things. He could call them, I believe his technical word was a skinny bitch, all he wants. That would have been perfectly fine. He could yell at this guy the whole night, scream at this guy the whole night. The problem was the weapon combined with the doxing, right? All the other stuff he could do. That's his show. He can run it how he wants. That wouldn't necessarily be against TOS to just yell at the guy the whole night and make fun of the guy. That's fine. Do it your way. Not what we do on my channel. But hey, he can do it on his channel all he wants. But with that, you open yourself up to a bunch of problems. And Twitch is opened up to a bunch of problems. Because now they've got to decide what they're going to do with Hassan. And in the past, they've only given him slaps on the wrist. That is, they've given him 1 day or 24-hour bans or sometimes 12-hour bans. And that's been all they've done
on his day off
with him. But now we've got a serious problem because we've got a situation in which if he is not banned for this,
Twitch will be implicated in these crimes. That's, you know, this is a big deal.
This opens up this behavior for others. So it opens up this behavior, these threats for other people, which can bring...
Which they don't really care about, honestly. Like, they really don't give a shit because they're already doing that, right? Like, Denims gets away with saying horrible shit that's slanderous and libel and against TOS. Frogan says horrible shit that's slanderous, libel and against TOS. Shonda Black's Mike from PA. Oh my God. Mike from PA will have streams where he just is crashing out and doxing people in his chat for disagreeing with him. Like it's like a hobby of his. So, you know, the cat's out of the bag. Like everybody's seeing this now. You've got legal, whatever the fuck this guy's name is. What is it? What's Legal Mindset? You've got Legal Mindset talking about this. Subscribe to Legal Mindset, by the way. Go watch his video on it. The cat's out of the bag, gang. And here's the thing. They still don't care.
What appears to be real weapons, knives, bombs, and dox people, threaten them. And here's the problem for Twitch. They open themselves up for not just losing advertisers, which is a big non-legal issue, not just looking bad as a brand, because obviously nobody wants to be the platform in which people are openly brandishing weapons and threatening others and doxing them. That's not good for a platform. But you open yourself up to illegal consequences as well. Now, obviously, many people know the breach of contract route. And there are arguments in terms of breaching the contract between the creator and the platform in terms of banning somebody for one type of behavior, whereas you don't ban somebody for another. So you don't ban Hassan for this, but let's say another creator is banned for this. Well, there might be a cause of action open up there. Now, there's a lot of challenges with that. That's a difficult one. But one that's even more interesting and one that is really untested, and in fact, there may be many people looking to test this, is a consumer type action under a private right of action. Every state has their consumer laws, and those laws are sometimes very, very strong. And one thing they protect against is unfair and deceptive practices.
And here's the crazy thing about Twitch is that the consumers are the users and the consumers are the content creators as well. So you could theoretically, like a lot of content creators on Twitch are in Texas now. So you could theoretically get a bunch of the people who are using Twitch in Texas to activate these laws against Twitch. And Jeff Bezos is like, I don't care.
And it indeed is a very strong case to say it is an unfair and deceptive practice to benefit some people while punishing others. Because this bias, this, for example, Hassan bias, is not disclosed anywhere. It's not given out in the terms of service. When you read the terms of service, nowhere does it say everyone will be punished except for Hassan Piker. Everyone will be banned except for Hassan Piker. Or, for example, if you want to be more broad, everyone will be banned except people who share Hassan Piker's political beliefs or affiliations or associations.
That's essentially how the rules work right now, too.
If that was disclosed publicly, then fair dues, then you can do what you're trying to do.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy part, is all they have to do is put it in their bullshit terms of service already. Because, like, what most companies will do is they'll put in there a clause where they can ban you or remove you for any reason whatsoever at any point in time. And Twitch isn't doing that. They're just lying about what their TOS is, and they're enforcing it based on how they feel at that point in time, because they want to have this appearance of being bipartisan and accepting and empathetic. But the reality is that their radical extremists are mods, or their mods are all radical extremists, and they're just doing whatever the most radical person on the left is doing on the platform to empower them, by either not banning people who are doing insane shit or by banning people who are just doing really mundane shit, right? So like Tectone is very close to being permanently banned off of Twitch. And he's the best example of this because he hasn't really done dick diddly, like at all. He hasn't done anything. And they're just like, yeah, you're done, kid. We're going to end you.
Of course, advertisers may have an issue with that, but legally it wouldn't be as deceptive. But now you're deceiving the consumer, both the people that are consuming the content, that are expecting that their favorite content creators will not be banned, and then seeing them get banned, and deceiving the creators themselves by lulling them into a belief that they can stream on your platform safely and do what they want, just like Hassan. But then they're ultimately punished. And they're punished for a much longer period of time. They're losing a much larger slice of revenue, memberships, subscriptions, etc., affiliate deals than Hassan. So you're able to point to that and say, I have damages because I am being banned for 7x, 10x, 30x, way longer than Hassan, and I can bring this private cause of action for an unfair and deceptive practice on the part of Twitch. And there's a lot of folks that may be opened up for that. So looking at this, real big problem, and would be even a bigger problem if there was a real incident where somebody got into an altercation where there was a threat made like Hassan, and then somebody responded with force.
Yeah, I wonder if we could come up with some examples of that maybe happening. You know, that would be terrible if that did happen. It would be pretty bad if there was like somebody who engages in force and terrible acts and deeds, even if they were in another part of the world altogether, who is just like super duper in love with Hassan Piker. I mean, it would be really awful if there was some real world effects to this propaganda. And people thinking, oh, hey, you know, if Hassan can do it, that means that I could do it too, you know? Like, that would be terrible. That would be a really terrible thing if that happened. If maybe like 2 Jews were shot in the street, one while they were executed, while they were crawling away in cold blood, begging for help.
We saw the case of Sin City
Free
Manny
Palestine,
in
though,
Las
am I
Vegas,
right?
the streamer that responded to taunting and threats of other streamers. People are not beyond responding with violence, particularly in America. That is something in 2025. That's something that could happen, and God forbid that do happen, would be the absolute end of Twitch as a platform. What do I see them doing? They've got to do something against Hassan. Hopefully they give him a longer term ban, more than just 24 hours. But unfortunately, Twitch has been known to be very light on its favorite golden boy. But let me know in the comments below.
They sang happy birthday to Hassan. Let's not forget. They sang happy birthday. Like, the guy who runs Twitch got a bunch of thoughts together and retards to sing happy birthday to Hassan. Imagine you're like in the back coding and you're like so tired of your job. You just can't wait to go home. And you're like putting in this code to make subs come up for Twitch streamers in a specific way that like it's really annoying, and you've been trying to do it all day, and like you'll write one line of code that you think is going to fix it, but it fucks 3 other things up, and that's been happening for like 2.5 hours straight, and you're just so done. Like you're done with the day, you're annoyed, it's been like an uphill battle all day, and then Dan Clancy walks into your fucking cubicle and is like, hey, get up, we gotta go say happy birthday to Hassan Piker, communist extraordinaire and terrorist supporter, lover of lubricant and old man of 42. We have to go sing his 43rd birthday for him while he's on stream. I would just fucking end it, bro. I'm not even kidding. Like, I would just be so done. I would
Think about the whole situation. And what do you think they're going to do with Hassan, if they're going to do anything? And I'll catch you on the next.
All right. Good video. Great video. Some say it was the best video. I say that. Okay, well, we've got a lot more stuff to watch, but I don't think we're going to do it today. We've been at it for 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is a good amount longer than what my normal streams are, lately, especially. Let's just take a look over here at my bookmarks and see if there's anything we can cover really quick. We already went over this. Let's see. This one really pissed me off. Actually, we are going to talk about this really quick, okay, before we sign off. So, Charlie Kirk just got utterly obliterated by the community notes. Charlie Kirk says, President Trump has ended 4 wars in the last 90 days. Give the man a Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe you should get a Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe you shouldn't get a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm not really arguing with that. The facts of the matter are that he has ended multiple wars in the last 90 days, okay? So let's go through this quote-unquote community note and see what's actually going on here. Donald Trump has not ended a single war in the last 90 days. False, okay? You just saw in the White House Rwanda and Congo, okay? You have Pakistan, who's advocating and nominating Trump for a peace prize for bringing peace to the region. And then India is saying, oh, well, Trump had nothing to do with it. Well, they're just posturing, because we know that Trump said that if they didn't come to peace, there would be no trade with the U.S. And both of them profit so much off of trade with the U.S. that they came to peace. Okay? So you can say this, but it's wrong. You have a ceasefire, informal ceasefire, but no peace agreement with Iran. Well, it's a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and it is happening. There hasn't been shots fired. What do you call peace? Well, nobody's dying? Okay, well, that's what peace is. Okay? That's what peace is. So you may say informal ceasefire, but no peace is the most, like, retarded thing I've ever heard. It's one or the other. Either there was an informal ceasefire or there was no peace agreement. It's the same thing. Russia and Ukraine war ongoing, recently had the deadliest day. What does that have to do with Trump has ended 4 wars in the last 90 days? Well, let's do a count. Iran and Israel. You have Rwanda and Congo. You have, what's the last one? You have Pakistan and India. And that's it for now, I believe. I think there's actually another one that I can't remember. But even still, just because it's not 4 doesn't mean it wasn't any, okay? No ceasefire peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. That's not in question. The question is, was there 4 of them? We have 3. So this should be, if anything, this should say, Donald Trump has not ended 4 wars in the last 90 days. He's only ended 3. Oops. My bad. No ceasefire, peace deal with the Ukraine war is on. That's not what's in question here. Oh shit, I'm popping off over here. Let's take a look. Rwanda and Congo is the only legitimate case. Okay, so then this is wrong. And also, that's not true. Pakistan to nominate Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. Meh, utterly obliterated. Seems over the top. I don't know what even that means. Most peaceful president of our lifetimes. Within 90 days, Iran and Israel ceasefire. Yes. India, Pakistan. Congo, Rwanda. Oh, Kosovo and Serbia. That's the other one. So this is just a fact. It is a fact. And he's getting community noted with shit that has nothing to do with the thing that he's being corrected on. Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, it's one thing to hate Trump, but what are we doing? Like, can we be so for real right now? Can we just criticize him for the things that he's actually doing? Like, I did it earlier. It's not that hard. Okay, there's plenty of things he's doing he shouldn't be doing. This is stupid. This is low IQ, I hate Trump, stupid fucking bullshit. These people are completely retarded. There is a brain slug taking precedence in their head above their brain. It's some fucking wild ass Baldur's Gate shit. Okay? They're eating the brain slugs voluntarily to gain powers, and those powers are full-blown mental retardation. Like, it's completely insane. What are you talking about? Pakistan and India both said he has nothing to do with it. Pakistan's nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Where are you getting your fucking news? And how are there 11 people who agree with you? Just Google it. For 2 seconds, just Google it. Real quick. Here's another one. Here's another one that's just completely ridiculous. I can't stand these fucking people. They're so stupid. Just Google it for a second. Okay, let's go over here. Hold on. Here we go. This one was great. Look at this video here. The claim is that they're exporting alligators into the area around Alligator Alcatraz. Like, are you kidding me? They're just moving this alligator from a public area. This is how they do it. They do it like this all the time. Why would they need to import alligators into the fucking Everglades, you stupid fucking retard, dude? How dumb do you have to be? The Everglades has the largest concentration of alligators on planet Earth. You could pick a 5x5 square anywhere in the Everglades and it will be surrounded by hundreds of alligators. Okay? It makes no sense. How do you not Google this before you post some dumb shit like this? It's because they don't care about the truth. Because they're communists. This is why I hate communists. They don't care about the truth. They will lie to your face because it helps move their position forward. And then after I posted this, you had this fucking community note. The claim that alligators are actively being relocated to Alligator Alcatraz is false. Alligator Alcatraz is located inside Big Cypress National Preserve in Okeechobee, Florida, and is already native habitat to a dense population of American alligators. Obviously. You don't even need to be a Floridian, have lived in Florida. You don't have to do any of that shit to know that there's alligators all over the Everglades. It is So straightforward. You have to be dumb. And then my favorite part too is look at this video. What does that say the location is? You think that Florida's having alligators imported from Texas? You fucking idiot! What are you doing? Why would they ever do that? You're out of your mind. You've lost the plot. You hate Donald Trump so much that you're just making shit up. You're making it up. I truly don't understand it. I really do not get it. It is so crazy. It's so crazy. This is one of the wildest pieces of propaganda I've ever read in my life. This is like somebody who lived in a communist regime being like, what do you mean bread lines are good? They're not good. Bread lines were terrible. That's the way I feel about this. It's so wild. It's so wild. I can't stand it. And you know what else? Let me talk about this really quick because I've got, we've got 6 minutes till 3 hours. We might as well ride it out. Alligator Alcatraz, as it's known, is not only extremely cheap, but more importantly, okay, people are complaining about the effect it'll have on the Everglades. It's built in an area that was already built on. There was an airport, and then they demolished part of the airport and put this up on the concrete. They added no new concrete or asphalt, and also that's why this flooding is happening. No new asphalt. There's no new. They didn't build on new parts of the Everglades for this. That's just what's happening. Okay? We don't need to have perfectly waterproof facilities for people who are going to be here for a couple of days before he gets before they get fucking exported. We just don't. I really don't give a shit that the facility meant for criminal illegal aliens gets flooded when it rains a lot sometimes, a couple of inches. And maybe I'm the radical because I grew up in Florida. Maybe I'm the radical, but it's an air-conditioned facility in Florida. I wish that I had places like this to sleep. They have bunk beds. They're not going to be sleeping in the water. I'm sure it'll be evacuated if there's a hurricane. Shut up, Natasha, you dumb idiot. There's no Everglades being demolished and replaced with this facility. You don't have to import alligators. Also, here's one other thing. I know that I'm going on about this, but alligators are chill as fuck. Believe it or not. None of the people in these facilities are in danger of being eaten by alligators, okay? Or really much of anything else in the Everglades for that matter. They're more likely to die of dehydration from having walked for hundreds of miles without anything and trudging through the water in the heat. That's what'll hurt. It's like being in the Sahara, okay? It's one of the hottest places on earth is Florida. It is one of the hottest in the summertime in Florida because of the humidity. It can feel hotter than the Sahara Desert, guys. The alligators don't care that you're there. There's hardly ever any alligator attacks. They're more of a nuisance than anything. It just doesn't happen that often. When I was growing up down there, I swam next to alligators multiple times. It's fine. They're fine. The people in this facility are going to be fine. Nobody's going to get eaten alive by alligators. If someone was saying, oh, you don't even need to put up a fence. I'm like, yeah, you do, because alligators are super chill. They're not going to be going and attacking people in the facility. Okay? This is silly. It's not going to happen. It just doesn't make sense. The people who are going to be in here are going to be in here for like a week at most before they're deported. because they're if you listen to anything these people were saying instead of just blindly hating them, they're going to have a judiciary in the building. So that instead of waiting for years or months, you'll be waiting a couple of days to get your hearing. And after your hearing, you'll either be released into the interior, which you probably won't be, or you will be deported immediately. That's the due process. Okay? The due process is simple. It really is. This whole thing is just so ridiculous. It drives me fucking crazy. The amount of nonstop propaganda. It is so frustrating, guys. It's so frustrating. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. That's it. We're going to call it. I've got to go to bed. I also have to do some laundry, but that's not, you don't care about any of that. You know, so it was a good stream. We covered a lot of stuff. I wish that I could have gotten deeper into the big, beautiful bill, but, you know, that's my bad. I guess I can't really use ChatGPT except for, like, specific stuff anymore, and then I still have to double check it, so, like, what's the point, right? But that's just the way that it is. I can't do anything about that. They messed it up, and so I've got to make sure I do it right on my own. It's a lot more work, but it is what it is. And, yeah. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you subscribe. Head on over to Kick and follow. Follow me on YouTube or X. Subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube. Corbin Doster on everything. Dauster. Corbin Doster on Twitch. On Twitter. Corbin Doster on, I should say X. Corbin Doster on YouTube. Corbin Doster on Kick. If you came and hung out with us today and you're just too shy to chat, I encourage you to chat next time. And otherwise, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming along for the ride and going over all this stuff with me. And getting super pissed off before bed. It's just a good thing. It's a good feeling. I'm going to be trying to invade other people's streams throughout the next couple of weeks. So if you're in there and you see me, say what's up and come on over and subscribe. It's really important. That's my biggest thing right now. I need you to subscribe. I need you to tell your friends to subscribe. That's what I need the most. I'm getting a lot of views on my shorts, but I need more subscribers. All right? I love you guys. Thank you so much. Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. God bless America. God bless you. And I hope you have a great day and you sleep well and all those things.